Welcome back, Rage Nation. Got myself Pete here.
That's not really exciting.
We got Senior Dixon.
I don't think that's appropriate.
And we got Monsieur Leopard.
Explorers deserved it. No.
Absolutely.
I was disgusted. I cannot believe they've done this.
Why is wacky? Why is that good? It's just nonsense.
I disagree on that. That's not possible.
We're getting the band back together. We're on a mission. Yeah.
Now we've got a whole new list of things to complain about.
Welcome back, Rage Nation. We are at it again. Got myself Pete, and we have a full crew. Of course, we got Mr. Dixon with us from the Puerto Rico. Got the power. Good job, Dixon.
Yeah. Worked real hard for that. Transformer blew up.
You had to crank it up, man. Yeah, and then we also got two Dirty Reser players. We got Bryan from the Texas meta, and then we got Zach from the Michigander meta. What's going on, guys?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for inviting.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So, got a lot of people that love Resers. I feel like sometimes they don't get as much talk and as much love as they probably should, so we always try to, rotate them in every now and then. But we're going to talk about Schtook the Stargazer. He likes, looking in windows with his, zombie-mounted periscope, I guess you can call it. But I think something else people are going to notice is that just because things have been going pretty good on the podcast, we decided to expand the YouTube channel. So we decided to take these videos and we're going to start transitioning the episodes also onto just camera. So everybody gets to see all of your lovely faces. So smile, you're on Rage Quit camera, I guess. I don't know. Okay, let's not be like the kids and do all these, dirty actions at all these like sports events and stuff. I don't know if you guys see like the cameras and you have all these kids doing all these like just dirty kids, dirty, filthy kids.
This sounds awfully specific here.
Yeah.
Why are you watching?
I'm
telling
telling
you, Dixon.
They're savages.
I guess so.
But before we get into it, guys, make sure that you guys are checking us out on Twitter. Make sure you check us out on Instagram. I'm painting up these beautiful Chi and Gong models right now, so I'm going to put pictures of that up for people to see. Like I said, the YouTube channel, we're going to grow it, kind of keep putting videos up there. And, of course, you can support us directly at patreon.com/RageQuitWire, where you can support us for as little as $1. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube content because we're going to start putting these video episodes up of each episode we do. And then, once again, we'll keep adding stuff in. Dixon, I think, roped me into Vassal finally, so maybe we'll even do some Vassal videos.
Yes.
I want to hang myself.
You have to teach me how to use it. I still don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, I can do a twofer if you had the open
there
time.
We go. Dixon will
No,
just watch.
I got a demo game that I gotta do with a gentleman tomorrow at 10, and I just do demos every now and then for new players at the Vassal. So if you ever need somebody, ask for a game, and more likely I'll be able to teach you.
Yeah, it's just remembering all that.
Yes,
The shortcuts.
All the keys.
And such.
the keys.
Control F plus minus.
Yeah.
V12.
They're actually fairly easy after like 3 games. Like the first 3 games are gonna be the hardest thing, so you just have to ask me like, "Hey, how do you do X thing?" Just Shift Q or Shift W, and eventually you yourself be like, "How do I do fire this?" And you just don't even think about it. Also, you can always right click on a model, and it opens a menu, and the menus themselves tell you the shortcut. So it's super easy and reliable.
So I didn't know the right click thing.
Yep. It's
not
not
a whole bunch of stuff.
Easier.
I've only played like 2 games, and they're like 6 months apart, so I don't remember jack.
I have literally taught people that have played this for like 3 years, where like I was like, "Oh, just move that piece of terrain." They're like, "How do you move terrain?" I'm like, "Hold shift, click on it left, and then that's it." And they're like, I have been doing this forever. I've never been able to move a mountain before. It's like, yeah, welcome to the game.
Yeah, I haven't played Vassal in like 5 months, maybe 6 at this point. So I definitely would.
Well, hell, that's because you guys are having a tournament like every week, aren't you?
It's like once a month, okay?
Yeah.
And actually, I haven't even been to those. If you look at my rankings in Lone Star, I think I'm 8th in Lone Star because I've missed the last 8 tournaments. The only reason why I qualified for Nova is because Adepticon and Gen Con.
Right.
Hey, that's all you
as a
need.
wild card slot. Yeah, I mean that's That's why I wasn't worried. I was sure I was gonna get in using my wild card. So
He's like, I'm gonna be good. I know I'm gonna be at the top. It's good. All good.
I mean,
Kind
did
of a
it
big
work?
Deal.
I think it worked.
Yeah.
It did. So, and that was. I just have to laugh though because this just shows you how annoying rezzers can be. We won't use names, but I do like it when your opponent tells you to get wrecked, and I hope you lose the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes, and I hope you have the worst luck for the rest of this tournament. Okay.
Yeah, like
Sounds good.
It's like, what do you do to a person to make them be that pissed off?
It wasn't even me. It was the cards. It wasn't.
That's
I didn't
fair.
do anything bad.
They just took it out on you.
Yeah, it's just dislike.
You
That's all.
told us. Say it. Come on now.
Look, I just ran Jackdaw, but I ran him into Bayou. They have options. They have an upgrade that they can give to their models to give Ruthless. It's not my fault that they just die easy. I can't help it.
I guess so, right?
Well, I've been telling, because people, especially a lot of people I talk to about Bayou, they're like, well, how come you're not playing Bayou right now? It's like, I love Bayou, but there's just times where if you get a bad flip, a model might just go away.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of ridiculous how sturdy a lot of the other keywords are, and it's like all of Bayou is like, all your crap's gonna die.
Yeah, the only thing that's survivable is Maw's crew. They've got armor. That's about it.
Which is
Some
also
of the armored stuff. I say some of her stuff. Like I love Rooster Riders, but they die.
They fall apart.
Yeah, I would consider Ma like the best keyword in Bayou, and I love Plains Rider as well. It's just Ma doesn't die easy, has a lot of card manipulation, and has a crap load of tricks.
Well, to be fair, I also think Maw's keyword doesn't die too easily because of the tricksy abilities like Scamper.
Yes.
Yeah. So that helps a lot too. It's not necessarily that the models are like, tankier, it's just they're harder
No,
to get
it's
hold
either
of.
actually they're either tanky as hell for their point cost, or they're just evasive as crap because of Scamper and stupid crap like that.
Yep. So I definitely agree with that. But we're talking about Rezzers, so I won't let my Maw bias get in the way of all this. But looking at Von Schtook, a lot of people were a little sad because he did get nerfed and a couple of his models got touched not too long ago. So, generally speaking, let's kind of start off with just the old Professor Von Schtook here, Von Schtook. What do you two really love about this keyword? Like, do you love the flavor, the backstory? I mean, give us some of your background on why you love this damn guy so much.
I like this keyword because of its survivability. It also provides everything you need to have a solid keyword that you can probably one trick in a tournament, because if they have answers for everything. So while they may not be the best in every single scenario, they have a lot of options, which gives them a lot of flexibility, and I'm all about flexibility.
Yeah, and it is ridiculous that before he got nerfed, it seems like he was always drawing cards, and now it's just like, oh, now you're just kind of like zipping. You just probably draw one card at the end of your during your activation, right?
No, they draw cards even on defense. That's the thing that annoys the crap out of me.
So they're still drawing a lot of cards, even though that got nerfed a little bit.
They draw slightly less cards.
That didn't get touched at all.
The draw card part didn't change, but the fact that the models change made it so that you draw less cards because of how aggressive you have to be now. It's like, it's really weird. It's just, you draw maybe 2 or 3 less cards. Maybe.
I'm trying to think, what did they touch that reduced the card draw mechanics? Because they didn't remove any triggers.
Von Schtook himself. That's it.
I mean, his version 1 still has still has a built-in crow.
Yeah, no, and he has the same ability and everything. But do you play him?
They didn't reduce any of the card draw.
No. It's again, it's not that they changed the card draw itself. It's just they changed the model, so the model now functions differently. Like you're not as aggressive with Von Schtook, or at least the same number of people that I saw play with Von Schtook before are not as aggressive with it now. That's like the big difference that I noticed.
I could see that. And also the Necropunks not being able to run all across the map, so they're a lot less useful.
Right, so it's... and the understudies. The understudies not teleporting to people, so therefore there's less chances of people attacking them. It's like a lot of small things that made them go, oh, now I draw less cards just because I have less interaction with the enemy. That's about it.
Yeah. With the Valley Bomb, they reduced its viability. Like, it requires extra steps to pull off. You can't launch in the undergraduates anymore. So you can't just launch half your crew across the table, turn one, murder something, get an extra card, and then, drop more people on their face.
Get an extra card, get an extra model, potentially. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
like,
I mean-
you can drop someone, like you drop an undergrad on top of, so Valley charged in, weaken the model up, a undergrad with fast and 3 focus, teleports, and then kills your beater turn 1 to turn it into a student viscera.
Yes.
Like that's
good.
It's so,
they removed that, and like
it's so nasty.
that was a huge thing. Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh god.
I miss
now,
it.
I mean,
now
yeah.
instead of doing that turn 1, a good player can do it on turn 2, unless somebody does something stupid. Then you'd still do it on turn 1. Like it's
Yeah, I mean, you can still bring sloth and hand out fast, and like there's means of doing it. You can still hand out some focus, but focus is capped, and you can't teleport the undergraduates anymore.
right.
But like, I mean, it's still theoretically a thing that you can do. It's just nowhere near as potent.
Yep.
But to go back on to why I like Schtook, honestly, originally when I picked up his stuff, his entire keyword didn't even exist yet, like physically. And as it's been noted, I'm more of a physical player. But I picked him up just because I have a thing for gross shit and robots, and he puts
fair.
gross shit and robots together. And then I've been told I always pick the broken shit when I buy new things, so I picked out all the card draw, and it turns out Armor 1 and Hard to Wound is very good.
I want to point
So-
out that a prerequisite to be a wrestler player is liking gross shit. I'm just saying.
It's true. Well,
I mean-
Dixon and I were actually talking about that, where it's like we see that Rezzers have some fun stuff you can play, but the aesthetics and the look of it and the feel of it just isn't something I'm interested in. I've never been a zombie guy, so like I see this gross, zombie with the tripod and the telescope on top of him, and I'm just like, nah, that's cool, but
Yeah.
not
It's interesting. The tripod is made out of people parts. Yeah.
yeah, right.
No. Like I.
And see,
Twisted
like that's my thing with Bayou. Like aesthetically, I'm not super into like
You
the
shut
Looney
your
Tunes
mouth.
faction.
Shut your
Actually,
mouth.
But mechanically, they're fantastic,
So-
and I love the flavor.
So the Bayou aesthetic grew on me because if you were to listen to like way old episodes of the Rage Quit Warrior, I hated Bayou because it looked dumb as crap. And then I played it, and then I was like,
Gremlins riding roosters.
right,
Come
and
on.
I was like, my
Yeah.
god,
They're
this is
cockriders.
just growing on me. This is so exact. Thank you. It was exactly right.
A bunch of green hillbillies just doesn't do it for me.
No,
Really?
Same,
See, we're-
same.
I get enough of that in Texas, okay?
And then-
I have enough hillbillies around. I don't need to put them on the table.
And then they grew on me. That's a problem because like
Got to be a
for
country
like
boy to like
9
him.
years, for 9 years, I hated greenskins. Those greenskins were dumb. Whatever. Meet Pete. Eventually, after talking to Peter for a while, I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna try them. And as soon as I try them, I'm like, my god, these guys are amazing. I love them.
Magnificent.
Admittedly, my opinion has improved on the aesthetics overall. Mainly because, as far as I'm concerned, I've been forced to own 3 Gremlin models now because of Burns. Bo Fishbacher is the greatest thing to have ever existed.
Amazing.
The backup assistant is the worst thing to
What's
have ever
that?
existed.
I've never heard of that model.
I
You
don't know.
use it.
Apparently,
It's
it's a
trash.
thing.
Yeah,
And
I think-
as far as I'm concerned, Von Schtook 2's little helper corpse holding his telescope is a gremlin.
It's
as far
a
as I'm
gremlin.
concerned.
well, the
I think you meant research
the
assistant.
enforcers of Malifaux
No,
Burns.
that's the normal totem.
The enforcers of Malifaux Burns are very weird because like I think there's a third that are just like hot garbage, like completely useless, and then there's like a good chunk in the middle that are fine, and then there's like 2 that are like super broken or something. I heard. Is that correct? Would you?
I think it's more that they used the enforcers to help level up some masters that were underpowered.
Okay.
And then they gave enforcers to other masters that, because they had to make sure everyone had an enforcer.
Right.
But they made it so it didn't charge him up. Like the Schtook enforcer that he got is garbage for him. Like it's
Might as well not even be a model.
unusable.
It's garbage for
You would
Whispang.
never. Oh well, yeah, but like for example, like Schtook doesn't need the model. So the problem is like if you make the model too good for Whizbang, then you make it also really good for Schtook, which
Yeah, that's
then
fair.
combos, he's already powerful. He doesn't need anything else. He doesn't need more tools.
I mean, if they had made him 2 points, I'll be fine with him. But the fact that he's 4 points and that bad, I'm just like, no. Why would I ever use this?
I would agree with that.
At least then I could use him to replace the actual totem, which seems to be his point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100%. Like, if I were to pay 2
Otherwise-
points for it, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Otherwise, I'm just gonna, if I do for whatever reason bring him, I'm just gonna stand him right behind Schtook and have him, I don't know, like put out his fire or something,
Yes.
Like,
He's a corpse. He's
Yeah.
a cheap corpse.
And I know that, Zach, you're not too big, or you've only played Von Schtook 1 a couple of times, but Bryan, you said that there's a couple times where you feel like you've been okay dropping the first version of Von Schtook. I mean, where do you still like seeing him in some of these matchups?
So normally, dropping Schtook 1 is critical in specific key areas, right? So if you run into Shenlong is a big one because of his upgrades. He just turns those off. So if you know you're going into an upgrade master, he's really good to stop that.
like him, Marcus, and
yeah,
Shill specifically in theory is where I would drop him, but nobody has dropped any of those against me yet.
Yeah, I mean that's where you drop them, is to turn off the upgrades because it's such a critical part. Even Bayou, right? Because Bayou is generally squishy, so you can get your summons off very easily. And if they drop, oh my god, I can't think of her name. The gun chick.
Oh,
Ophelia.
If they drop Ophelia, she's just hot garbage when he runs in near her. And then also into summoners, because his summons are better than your summons. So as you summon your trash, he will turn it into good Students of Viscera,
Turn into stuff you
or
can
Students
use.
of Steel, and then they'll rip you up.
I didn't realize
Broke Dixon's mind.
Yeah, because I didn't realize the interaction that you just explained with Kin. Like, you can't even blink, you can't even defend yourself, you can't even lower damage. They're just...
Yeah, because it's all blank.
Yeah, it's paper attached to it.
What's the ability on Von Schtook 1 that does that?
It
Academic
turns,
superiority.
yeah, and what it does is within 6 inches, any models ignore abilities, actions, and triggers gained from their attached upgrades other than insignificant. So
Man, you guys are just jerks.
and the only other model that has it, I believe, is Shenlong 2.
Yep.
2, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, 2 surprised me with that. Luckily, I was playing Zip where I could get away from it, but yeah, it was rough.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck your coffee.
Yeah. He just knocks out your hand. No coffee for you, Gremlin.
This tastes like shit, Zip.
That's so sad.
I don't even know anymore. Like, I don't want to be in this world anymore. That's just terrible.
Yeah, and I think a lot of, the juice here is going to be on Von Schtook 2, because I know if you're kind of like me, if I went to a tournament and, I was playing against one of you guys, you're like, cool, you make this Von Schtook 2 list, and I'm looking at a lot of these abilities, and I'm just like, cool, you can make things, and it's like, I don't even know where to start with this damn card, but I know you guys said that you're really happy with it, so excited to see what the hell you guys do with this damn card. So what is the old Stargazer actually doing with this crew?
Before the crazy shenanigans, you guys still do like massive amounts of like fast here, buff here, do focus. Do you guys still do that before we get to
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, not so much fast, at least not in how I play them,
Right.
but yes, I mean, there's a bunch of buffs.
Gotcha. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, and I like using Schtook 1 as a blaster also, because Injured is just really good.
Huh.
It is.
It's probably one of the best debuffs in the game, if you can stack it.
Yeah, so what the hell is this title doing with Stargazer?
Zach, you want to jump on this? Or you want me to?
Yeah, sure. So, one of the big things on the front of this card that probably confuses you the most is the whole Shade of Delius. So friendly Transmortis models may treat models with an Aura 3 of a friendly ski marker as having any one of the following characteristics: living, beast, undead, construct, in addition to their other characteristics. So the reason why this matters for the keyword, not just Schtook 2, but for the keyword itself, is a good chunk of the models in the keyword have restrictions based on characteristics. So, like, if you were to, like, look at your Students of Steel, they have a whole bunch of stuff, like, where if you kill a construct, you get to draw a card, and they can only heal constructs and things along those lines, this opens that up for them to use. Or like the Student of Sinew, which I never really liked all that much previously, because they have a bunch of things that specifically require them to target undead models or do things with undead models. Suddenly now they can start doing to anyone because of this ability.
Yeah, and a fun one that you can use is like the Student Viscera has a heal, but it's other living models only.
Yep.
So you can heal your Student Visceras finally because you can count the Viscera. The Valedictorian. You can count them as living. You can count your undergrad that you never take as living. And there's just a lot of small little utility plays that you can find when you're counting things as other things. And then obviously it really strongly plays into Schtook's 2 main action, which is Study of Anatomy. Where depending on the characteristic of the model it's targeting, it can do 4 different actions based on all the characteristics. So like Valedictorian is a construct and undead, so generally he can place her within 3 inches and then let her take a non-charge action. But you can also count her as living and give her shielded 2. Or if she's on fire or stunned, you can remove the burning and the stun if you count her as a beast.
So you can stack these, so it's not like a trigger where you only get one. You can take like all of them if they apply.
Absolutely. Correct. And that's where you see a lot of utility with it. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so most of the keyword is undead constructs, so you're going to get the 3-inch place and the general action built in for most of them, with the exceptions of the research assistant and Anna. But since Anna is a living construct, usually you just do the inverse with her, treat her as if she's undead as well. So you get all 3 of those. So again, most commonly you're getting a 3-inch place, shielded 2, plus an action.
And then you also have the fun things where you use it against your opponent, and you can count your opponent as those characteristics. So if they have focus 2, you can just end that on them because you count them as a beast. You can place them. You can make them take general actions to pick up their own scheme markers. Even if in our current GG you use in Guard the Stash, you make them throw their own marker 6 inches back, right? There's a lot of cool little utility plays that come into this, and that's why I was talking about flexibility, where I personally love the flexibility of the Transmortis crew, and I think Schtook 2 adds a lot more flavor to that. And it adds a lot more survivability, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely kidnapping your opponent's stuff is gross. The couple of games that I have played against Chris with Von Schtook 2, I think I was playing Daw, and it was terrible for Daw because, one, he has, head in the clouds, so all my willpower attacks were at a negative, which fucking sucked. And then Study of Anatomy, it really hurt because not only, of course, I had a lot of undead stuff, but also that just making my stuff construct and then just moving it that 3 inches, and actually it's a place, so that's even more movement. But it really messes up your positioning as an opponent.
Yeah, and then the other thing so Head in Clouds is good. Schtook 2 is obviously more survivable with harder wound on top of that. And then the other ability that really makes this a powerhouse is Lessons Learned.
F that ability.
Dude, it's so
Screw
good.
It. I hate it.
Because that applies.
Have you seen that, Dixon?
That's the main thing that I was like, okay, this is what I hate about him. When are they going to talk about it?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm going to fail this stupid bonus. Now all my shit's out of positive.
And it's in the attack or the defense. That's the thing that infuriates me. Because when I'm playing with my master, they'll fail the first action on purpose. So it's like, you dick. This is...
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're confused because you're like, why did you cheat?
I was only confused the first time. Like, it's happened to me multiple times since then.
The one that I always throw people off when I do it is with Anna, where you use her bonus to detonate your own model, and you cheat that down to 1, 2, or 3 to fail it, and then she's on plus flips for her actual attacks to smack you.
Oh, that seems gross.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, why did you fail that? Oh my god, now she's plus flips. Okay.
Man, this model just kicked into awesome mode.
Yeah, with a 3, 5, 6, bring it on.
And the thing is, that's all duels, right? Yep. It's just, period, all duels. So suddenly you're like, oh, I got positive flips on my my terror checks and if I want to
Yeah.
use stones for whatever reason, and it gets kind of silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what was happening with me actually, because like I said, I was playing Daw, so he was like, "I'm going to do this useless bonus, on that terrifying check," and then all of a sudden it's like, "Cool, now I'm at a positive,"
Yep.
and it just snowballed.
Yeah, and actually I love the Soulstone one because of so they hit you, right? They hit Schtook. He obviously failed the duel because they hit him. And then
Yep.
when you flip to reduce damage for your Soulstone use,
Your
you
plus
flip
flip.
positives. And it's just so dumb.
Is it? Is it? That can't be a thing.
Yeah, it's all duels.
I mean, that's the thing that I'm confused about because it should be like opposed duels, but instead because it says duels,
It's,
it's
all
any
duels,
flip,
man.
any flip.
Yep.
That's not it's just
It's so
Yeah,
good.
but is damage reduction considered a duel though?
It's a
It's a
simple,
simple
duel.
duel.
yeah.
Don't like that.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? It's not opposed duels; it's all duels.
It should
And
be
so,
opposed duels though. Like
It
it
should
doesn't
be
make
opposed
any
duels.
sense. Oh.
Hey, you gotta give Rezzers something, right? They've
this
had
is
hard
the other
times.
thing. It's
Have they?
it's the what he mentioned earlier.
I don't think they've had hard times.
I'm trying to help you
No.
guys out.
The thing that you mentioned earlier, you said that you fail a duel. That's another thing. You don't have to fail. I just want to like emphasize how disgusting that is. You can lose any duel. It doesn't have to be an opposed duel to get the plus flips.
Yeah,
That's insane.
I like Dixon how you were kind of just staying on the sideline, just waiting for this ability, and man,
Because this
you're
is the ability that I have
knowledge
issues
about-
with. Like I'm fine with everything else so far. Like the
At
draw,
least it's only a 6-inch aura.
the draw annoyed the shit out of me in GG
Now-
1 and 2. But like nowadays, because the faction changed how it plays, you guys draw a lot less, but a little bit less, a little bit less.
a little bit.
Yeah,
less.
yeah, yeah. So because of that, I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. But now it's this stupid thing, and I'm just like, I hate this. I hate this. a lot.
So
hate everything about
the way
it.
you get around that is focusing multiple models, right? So if I punch Schtook with 1 AP and he failed the duel, if I punch a different model, they can't get the plus flip because it's not
That's
that
fair.
model. Now the only thing though is you have to watch out for studied opponent because of that may give them more cards because that's per model for studied
Because it's a
opponent.
new model, yeah.
Right. So you have to weigh that of, hey, am I really going to hit this, or am I just trying to do some minor damage? And you just have to make that decision. And I think
It kind of makes it where you want to make sure you got gas in your hand before you go into like Von Schtook,
Yeah.
just because you know this is going to be rough.
yes, and I mean he's so hard to take down. And I mean, so let's talk about Headless Helper, his melee, which is I think an amazing
Yeah.
attack. Okay, and it's something that will catch everyone off guard.
Oh, yeah.
So is he like bashing people with the tripod zombie? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, he takes the top of the telescope and he just like whacks you.
It's the first. If you get stunned, it hits as hard as the sword from Nekima.
Oh damn, stun's just there.
Yes.
That's not
Well,
even
no,
a
no, no.
trigger.
It
Yeah.
gives you stun, and then look at the next sentence. It also does.
Oh no, I see it.
Yeah.
If
So
you're
the
already
damage
So
is
for
3,
people listening-
5, 7, 6 or 7 or something like that.
6.
Yeah.
six.
So
Three,
for
five,
the people
six.
listening, it's a 2-inch reach. Stat 6 with a
'Cause why
built-in
not?
pro, which
Why
is
not?
just for the card draw, right? It's not really there to do a trigger. It's a 1/3/4 that gives you stunned, and if they already have stunned, it's +2 damage. So then it becomes a 3/5/6
Yep.
with a 2-inch reach with a fun trigger called Protect Me, where you summons a mindless zombie into base of the target, and you cannot punch Schtook for the rest of this turn unless a zombie's dead if they're a legal target.
Yep.
So you're making people just waste on this stupid zombie, just wasting your
Yep.
AP.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you can have Anna make it blow up to force move duels. You can turn it into cards with Anna, but usually use it to keep him safe.
Yeah.
There was a game that I was playing into Andre with we were playing a Schtook 2 versus Nekima 2 game just to see the matchup, and it was amazing because of Nekima would run in on Schtook, and then I would do a study of anatomy to place her outside of her 1-inch engagement into my 2-inch. That way I'd waste her AP, and I'd smack her and put a zombie in base with her. And it's like, all right, well, what are you really gonna do, Nekima? You can't. I mean, you can kill the zombie, but are you really gonna waste your AP?
Yeah.
So he has a lot of ways to like keep people back and keep people irritated, which is what I love.
Yeah. I mean, the lack of doing triggers on him if he hits you is also painful because you have to have a way to either not get stunned or dodge or clear the stun during your activation. So not many models can do
All
that.
I know is y'all are giving me the nom flashbacks because now I remember why I rage quit that game.
Right?
Because I'm like, oh, I was stunned. Oh, I was at negative for all my willpower shit. Oh, this is happening.
Yes.
It's like, this is just bad news bears.
Yeah, and then you've got the valedictorian, the student of Viscera, the student of Steel, and the student of Sinew, who all have stun bonuses. And so, if there's a model engaging Schtook, they can stun that model, and then Schtook can just remove that model in one activation.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
So is that pretty much the activation most time for Von Schtook, where it's like, use study of anatomy to kind of set up things, maybe get 1 or 2 hits with Headless Helper, and then do you even care about the bonus?
No, so the bonus is the most broken part of this model. Absolutely the most broken part of this model. There's nothing better than this game.
It wins games a lot, but I wouldn't say it's the most broken thing.
Let him get to it, Dixon. Don't
All right.
interrupt. Don't be rude.
So, it's actually of significance. It's a 10-inch reach, stat 5, 13 target duel, and you can either use this to fail to get plus flips on your attacks if you really, really want to. Like you got a Black Joker that you see with, Whisper and you want to burn it. But the thing is that until the start of the next phase, the target cannot take interact actions and is ignored for their schemes and strategies, but they still count for yours.
So you make them insignificant but worse.
And and so you save your 13 so you can guarantee a model a turn will be insignificant. So on turn 5, do you have Hidden Martyrs and that's your target right there? He doesn't count. You can't score Hidden Martyrs.
But you can.
Now I know why your round 1 opponent wanted you to lose.
I didn't run this model into my round 1 opponent. I didn't do that.
Did you
fair.
run Anna with Jackdaw?
No.
Just-
No, I ran a very standard Jackdaw crew. Okay, it was very in keyword. It's very nice,
Very flavorful.
very
Jackdaw.
fun.
Not for your opponent, but
No.
for you.
It was enjoyable for me. That's what matters,
Fair.
right?
So I have used this bonus action and accidentally got someone's Hidden Martyrs, one of their models, turn 1, and then killed it.
Just guessed it up.
Completely on accident. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna blast that dude and then send something up and
Those
kill
are
it.
the best. Those are the best instances, though, Zach, where it's just like, and you killed my Vendetta model.
Yep. And that's why I don't like taking Vendetta.
Me too, totally. Well, mine's actually not so much for that model dying. My problem with Vendetta is I usually kill the model before I score points for it because I'm just like, I just want it dead. Like I don't. I am not a patient person when it comes to removing models. I would rather you lose the AP, the model be gone, and I have that leg up. So that is not a Pete pick usually.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many applications of this bonus.
It's good. It's good.
It wins games, right? I mean, you can if you can guess what their Hidden Martyr target is, you can snipe them without recourse. You can easily stop them from scoring any of their strategies because their models can no longer interact.
Yeah.
So you're saying I shouldn't pick Earl as my Hidden Martyr anymore?
No,
when I'm
you
playing
should not,
against
because
Von
that is
Schtook?
a very easy call.
Yeah, I know.
And honestly, I do consider this action like just a win-win, no matter what happens with it.
Yeah.
Because either you completely
You
screw
fail
them-
and you get positives.
Yeah, exactly. If it goes off, awesome. You're insignificant. I screwed you over. If it doesn't, I get positives on everything, and you're going to die anyways.
Yeah.
So
And then why not throw a mental trauma trigger in
Yeah.
there?
I mean, why not?
Why not?
yeah, why not?
Yeah. I mean, I can also say that this is disgusting as fuck in cursed objects because in cursed objects, you don't even have to kill the other model. You could just that guy is insignificant. The beater that's supposed to come in and kill something.
Yeah, it's one less model you have to worry
Well,
about.
it can't actually score any points. Like, it killed somebody.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Dixon, I'm also thinking of what's the one strat where you got to secretly choose your model?
Covert.
Covert operations.
Over.
Yeah. So you're maybe they have something on the flank and you're just cool, that model doesn't count, this turn. And it's I don't have to worry if you accidentally or if you pick that one. Now I can focus on your other models.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yep.
And then I feel like Schtook 2 is generally a better setup than Schtook 1 is. When you start the game, so pre-nerf Schtook was so good because he gave Valedictorian fast, he gave her focused. Well, Schtook 2 can almost do the exact same thing. So with Study of Anatomy, he places the Valedictorian 3 inches forward, which is 5 inches because of her base, right?
Because she's huge.
Because she's huge. So it's like a free walk, so it counts as your fast AP. She gains shielded 2, so she's armor 1, shielded 2, and then she takes a general action, which is a concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
So she's up the board with focus 1, shielded 2, and she's within charge range of one of your models. It's going to go
Focus 2.
real poor for you.
Well, focus
What?
2 when I play it, at least.
Why focus 2? You take the...
I bring the Curator with Grave Spirit's
To the
Touch.
upgrade.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I have
yeah.
him try and remove himself, pulse out focus to the entire crew. So turn 1, I usually have, the Viscera, Val, and Anna up the board some with shielded 2, focus 2.
Yeah, and then even that is just gross, because if then he just... It's better than Schtook 1 minus the summoning, but who gives a damn, because you're removing their models turn 1.
So for the non-Reser players here, the Valedictorian did get nerfed, I guess, but
She got
that
plus
was
1 point. That's not a nerf.
is that all
Yeah.
it was?
That's all
They
it was.
touched the Valedictory because you used to be able to pull Jokers out of your discard.
Yeah, but I mean,
But she's still the same. Like even though this was a couple of years ago, she's still the same beater.
Basically, yeah.
Punctures grows, shove aside.
Her damage
grows,
didn't change. It's just
Flurries grows.
She's
No,
more
she still has
expensive.
the same melee attack that like half the keyword has.
right.
Just
Yeah.
better.
Okay.
I mean, her damage is
Yeah,
still
All right.
gross.
So you're always bringing the Valedictorian, right?
yeah, that's not an option.
So what else is usually kind of making its way in a Von Schtook 2 list?
Anna.
And I also want to just say it has been so hard for me not to say Von Schill because I play a lot of Von Schill, and I always confuse the two when I'm talking about them. So Von Schtook, what else do you bring with them?
I guess I can go first with my list. I use Von Schtook, the Totem. I bring Val sometimes with Killer Instinct. I play against a lot of people that like bring Terrifying and whatnot. And honestly, she's probably going to kill something, so eating a corpse for stones is nice.
Yep.
Anna, of course. I bring a Student of Viscera. I like giving it Grave Spirit's Touch. The Corpse Curator with Grave Spirit's Touch, and an Enslaved Spirit.
So why is Anna? I mean, I've heard Dixon before referred to Anna as one of the best damn models in Resers.
In the game.
So
In the game.
I mean,
she looks okay.
She's a 10-stone henchman. She's got armor 1. She got all the card draw. She got hostile work environment and
Yeah,
gravity
that's
well.
annoying.
That's the combo that really kind of does it. But on top of that, honestly, her melee attack is effectively a 3/5/6 because it's got built-in Siphon Life. She's got Spirit Barrage, which honestly, this is something that I like even more with Schtook 2 specifically because I feel like Schtook 2 kind of levels her up. One of my first games with Schtook 2 was against Reva, and I tossed out a ski marker forward, and my opponent ran forward the corpse candles, and I was able to just one-shot the corpse candles with her Spirit Barrage, treat them as if they're living for the built-in Zombify trigger, turn them into a zombie, which it specifically says they don't drop any markers, so he didn't get any of his pyre markers, and then I pushed it back into his crew and blew it up. And then drew a card.
That seems mean.
It's a little mean.
It was. I thought it was the funnest thing to have ever happened.
I thought it was delightful.
Look,
The fact that you-
Anna is by far the best model in the game because of the amount of utility that she brings to the table. And into certain crews, or actually into most crews, where you can no longer self-interact or place, she ruined your day.
Yeah.
I played to one guy who made a mistake and brought her into the middle of his Hoffman crew, into Hoffman, or Hoffman, and literally he was like, oh, now I can't actually heal myself. I can't
make anything fast.
Right. It was like, all right, well, I mean, she's just going to sit right here and hold this ground.
And something that both of you have just glossed over is she's defense 6, willpower 6, speed 5, has armor 1. The fuck? Why is she
Is
so damn
defense
good?
I mean,
Is
I'm
defense
just
and willpower 6 good?
I'm just disappointed she doesn't also have hard to wound.
Yeah.
But
because she's not undead.
You would be surprised how often her not having hard to wound kills her.
yeah,
Like,
it happens a
it's-
lot.
It's she falls apart even with all those stats because people will
It's like
dump
cool,
focus into
straight
her.
red Joker type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
With
what
that said-
stones are for. Use stone to put them at negative.
Which is what gets the red jokers out. That's what
Yeah.
happens.
That's fair.
But with that said, another aspect of Von Schtook 2 that works really well with Anna is since he can effectively from range say, "Hey, you, I'm yoinking you over here." You can just pull somebody's model and drop them right into the gravity well and hostile work environment, and just say, "Yeah, come save it. See what happens."
Yep.
So I'm just gonna say, just because I played a lot of games against like Anya and stuff, where hostile work environment, it's so bad because you'll forget about it, and then all of a sudden you see your opponent run that model up, and you're like, "Oh, they took a bunch of damage. Let me go ahead and heal them real quick." And they're like, "Hostile work environment, bro." And it's just like, I hate you.
I'm gonna rescue
I
the
hate you so-
model.
Well,
Hostile
well, because
environment.
then what you're doing at that point is you're trying to manipulate the board where it blocks line of sight, right? You're trying to break up the aura. And sometimes that's almost impossible to manipulate, but you're like struggling because you don't want your model to die. It's just bad news.
And unlike Anya, it's on a model that has defense.
Yeah.
She's also on a 40 millimeter base, so that
Correct.
helps kind of the aura a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a 14-inch aura, right?
Yeah, it's gross.
So they're just, what would that be? More than a third of the board is just locked down with her auras, and you're just like, all right, well, I guess I die.
Yeah. Well, and she's just flexible, right? Because, like you were talking about, Zach, she has that good melee attack, but then you have this 12-inch gun, and you have the 18-inch remote detonate. It's just so flexible. I feel
And she
like.
doesn't
And see,
like to be a melee, but by God, like you have to go
Oh,
to
she'll
her
melt
auras.
things.
Yeah, exactly.
And a cute thing about the way I play Schtook specifically with the Corpse Curator is if I don't have a situation where I can use remote detonator, I can just use grade assignment and target the curator and draw a card. So,
It's fair.
and drop a scheme marker, which then the curator can just trolley around somewhere.
Yeah, if you do it that way, then you have your free scheme marker for studying anatomy, which took. Because that's always the fun part of which model drops that marker, which is usually the Necropunk, to let you do all the same anatomy stuff. But if you do it Zach's way, you don't need that because Anna just drops it for you.
Yeah.
Well, admittedly, when I do it for mine, curator will go first, pulse out that focus, drop a scheme marker
there
for
you
that, and then focus itself.
Right, that makes sense.
So, just a little off topic here because I know, one, I am playing a little bit of McCabe, so, I'm going to have a little bit of that action. But I feel like since it counts as a corpse marker and a lot of Reser crews love corpse markers, is that something that finds its way into a lot
It's
of
only
lists?
friendlies.
For
The
what?
curator. The curator only counts as a scrap and corpse for friendlies.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
well, no, I'm saying as a Reser player, does that find its way into not most of your lists, but a lot of them because it counts
I'm
as a
sorry,
corpse?
I got it now.
It doesn't in my list.
Me either, honestly.
It just has a couple of good spots.
Right. I mean, it's really good in this scenario. How much is that model? Is it 7?
It's 7.
points?
It's 6.
Well, it's 6
It's
base,
6.
but it's 7 outside of keyword.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
So-
you're 9 points if you want to put the upgrade. I used it with Seamus because he's the only master that I really love in your faction, so I play him every now and then. And I never expected that Zach was going to do the exact same thing with Von Schtook. I don't know why, because it's so
Well-
damn easy.
Honestly, the reason why I specifically like it with Schtook is because the entire keyword, for the most part, has the dissectors as their melee attack.
Right.
It's a spiky damage track. It's 2-4-5.
Right.
So oftentimes I feel it necessary to be hitting with focus to get the most out of it because I'm aiming for the moderate damage.
It's the same
So-
thing that Guild does and Parker does. Like, the exact same logic. Because spiky damage, oftentimes you want to do focus for that. And yeah, like, that perfectly makes sense, but not everybody has the access to AoE focus like, wrestlers. Wrestlers have
Right.
it pretty much on command.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So good when
It's
you
one of
get
the
it.
best
So-
things in the game.
I have a question for Zach about this.
Sure.
Why do you run the Corpse Curator over a Gravedigger? The Gravedigger's 6 points instead of 9 points. You get the free corpse that drops initially, and then it still has a built-in pulse focus. And
So
you can
the
save
reason
3
why
points.
the reason why I do it specifically, that whole point with Anna being able to point to him, say there's a card, there's some reliability there. But secondly, his ability for his drag behind ability is really low key sneaky. I've been able to score a bunch of points with it, just being able to pull things around.
It is.
It's true.
It's one of those things where, at least in the way I play Schtook, when you got Val, Anna, and a Viscera loaded up with shielded and focus flying at you, everybody seems to forget about the little corpse curator running up around the side doing a little thing. Maybe he makes a glob of glue and, poisons somebody to death out of nowhere and melts Miranda for 5 poison damage. So, there's that sneaky little aspect of where, last minute he just sort of walks up and does that.
Yeah.
One thing that I do think is kind of neat is just symbiotic relationship, allowing you to turn off people's engagement ranges if they got poison is just useful, I feel, in this GG. Admittedly, it's something I've contemplated swapping out for the Gravedigger, but being able to just sort of have that thing there just to get that reliable card draw and that extra little ski marker drop and get a sneaky kill on somebody, I enjoy it.
So
Okay,
I was gonna
that's fine. I was just curious.
Well, I was gonna ask that because my reason was because he himself always counts it, so you never have to flip any cards for it, and because it's defense 6, armor 1, and with the upgrade he just heals himself the damage of whatever you do to him. So I just you pay 1 more point to simplify the entire process without having to suffer any consequences.
It is 3 more points, yeah, because they drop a a corpse marker at the beginning of the game anyways, the Gravedigger does.
Right.
Part of my issue with the Gravedigger in this scenario is after that initial pulse of focus, I view them as less valuable overall to the game than the Curator would be for me in my experience.
That's fair.
Why do you say that he's 3 points less? Because
it's 6 plus 1 for OO key, and then you also have the upgrade.
Because he has. Oh, I did not know that he has Blasphemous Ritual base. I had to look up the card because I was like, why the hell would you?
Yeah. I mean, that's the only reason why I bring him is that, and then you have your sneaky...
I'm just over here I know some of these words.
Yeah.
So Blasphemous Ritual is I remove a corpse, everybody gets focus. It's super easy, and it's a bonus action. So they have an upgrade. I believe it's Grave Spirit's Touch, which you pay 2 points in any model has the ability. Right. So I personally, when I was using it with Seamus, the Curator is just he counts as a scrap or a corpse. Boom, slap the upgrade, and he's the rest of the game. He's a beater when he needs to be. He's immune to obey basically because he can't attack anybody. He can do stuff, but not very effectively. It's really, I don't know. I love the idea because it was simplified and it was really good. This fucking guy. Sorry, but that was.
Plus, I mean, on an entirely unrelated to gameplay standpoint, I also have zero desire to paint my Gravediggers. So
yeah, mine's on the table right now because
Amen,
I need to paint it for Nova next week, and I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get to it.
That's funny.
Yeah, because I know if I want to paint one, I'm going to want to paint the freaking one that's got all the corpses in the thing, and I heard
that model's a little annoying to put together.
It's not that bad.
It's fine. It's painting it that's the problem for us.
It's standard for weird status, right?
It's no
far
Steam
for the
trunk.
cores.
No Steam trunk.
No Steam trunk or the printing press.
Or the Insidious Madness.
Yeah.
I hated that model with a passion. The Insidious Madness.
Putting those together sucks.
Oh my god, it's like pulling teeth.
So it's funny, we went over this entire card, but we never actually talked about one of his actions. We still have Light of Ilios.
Yeah.
I just assumed that wasn't important.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's important.
You're wrong.
It's absolutely important.
You can be wrong. It's okay.
Yeah. It's like the most important ability in his card because it drops the
No, it's
stupid
not the
ski
most
marker.
important ability.
I was kidding.
But
It's just very good. So, Light of Ilios is a once per activation shockwave that drops a ski marker.
Yes.
It's a range 6. It's shockwave 3, willpower 11, damage 2. And then also friendly Transmortis models may ignore the effects of this action and instead heal 1. I think the first question most people ask is why the fuck is it shockwave 3? It is shockwave 3 because Shade of Delios is a 3-inch aura, and it is so you can set that up easily through measurement, so that you know things are within that aura.
Mm-hmm. And also just it gives you a lot of good healing, which is nice. You can heal a lot of models with it.
Yep.
Yeah, just ping healing's always good, right?
Right, and then also it helps because of if you have leave your mark or you have some ski marker strategies.
Set the trap.
Set the trap. I mean, you just
and leave your mark is one of those schemes where you really don't want to show it until you know you can score it.
Right.
So yeah, if you can just trigger it with something like that, maybe your second to last or last activation, that's definitely good.
And like one of the great things about leave your mark is you can set an anatomy on a model, one of your models. That's Contract Undead. Place them on the marker. General action, pick up their ski marker, and then throw your own ski marker to score.
Look at you guys doing tricky stuff with this random Stargazer.
Oh, it's so tricky, and there's so many options that come out throughout every game.
Well, I think that's the problem, though, Brian, isn't it? Where if you look at it just straightforward, like maybe I'm a new player or maybe I'm just picking up this keyword, it seems like there's not always a straightforward path to victory because there's so many like little tricks that you can use to get your points in all these different situations.
Yeah, it's definitely not as straightforward as a lot of other Masters to be, which is run down their face and kill them to score points.
I mean, you can always just throw your Valedictorian just down there and just go dunk somebody.
I mean, you do that too. I mean, you do both.
Yeah, I mean that just happens by default.
Yeah, I mean,
so you're putting on the pressure and then you're using all your tricks.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
I mean,
which that's actually the reason why I bring the Enslaved Spirit is just so I can use that to push Schtook forward so he doesn't have to walk himself, while also turning off enemies' focus if they decide to try and counter Alpha my master.
That's actually very cool. I hate that model sometimes because I played Chris a whole bunch of times. I want to say like 20 games or something stupid.
You're the reason Chris quit the game.
No, he kicked my ass. That was not the reason. Anyway, but like,
you mean he's kicking your ass, and I'm still hearing all this bitching?
Yeah. Long story short, basically, I saw that model in Slave Spirit all the time because Karai too surprisingly summons like. You saw it, right? She summons like an obscene amount of models.
I was there, Dixon. I was there when it all happened.
I was there when Gondor fell.
With that said, the Enslaved Spirit in this crew is a liability into cursed objects, and therefore I have to change my list there because having a 3 health significant model is going to get melted. Yeah,
I understand.
It's so dumb that he's significant. Like he's 3 points versatile, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah,
that's super dumb.
And he drops ski markers when he dies, which I feel like would have been good enough to just get rid of significant and just make him insignificant, but it's fine. He can drop ski markers for me normally now, so I mean, if for whatever reason I find Schtook or whoever standing somewhere without a trusty scheme marker to set up my aura, he can do it for him.
So now that you say that, I didn't even think about that. I have never seen, because I played against Von Schtook players a bit actually, surprisingly, and I've not played against you guys. 1, Zach doesn't play Vassal, and 2, Bryan has decided not to play.
We played a while back.
A year ago.
Look, I'm sorry, life is busy. Okay,
I know.
Are you going to Nova?
Me, man.
Not dodging. What's up?
Are you going to Nova?
I wish I could, man. I'm in Puerto Rico. I'm stuck in Puerto Rico forever. If it's gonna be a while before I can leave the island, so yeah.
I told Dixon he can move in with me.
Yeah, I know. Chris,
he doesn't like South Carolina.
No, I do love the South a lot. That's the reason why I lived in Virginia and in whatchamacallit, in California, in San Diego. I like.
Oh, you did say that you work in IT, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I work in an IT company. I can get you a job.
There you go. Gonna hire one.
Hey,
Easy.
joining the Texas meta.
Get back on the
Come get
on the main
smashed in
line.
the Texas meta.
Sure.
It's fun.
Sure. That's like the least of my worries. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get destroyed by people. That's fine. It's just more training.
Dixon
Yeah.
just wants to play.
It's
yeah.
not that bad here. People
Yeah.
like to make it seem like it is, like it's bigger than it is.
No, that's how I
No,
cut my
well,
teeth.
see-
Nick actually is the reason why I became a very aggressive
Oh,
player. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said this before, but like,
Well, that's the
how I
thing.
started.
It's like you play against some of these competitive players, and they play so cagey, and it's like, all right, we're dancing around. It's like, no. When Nick showed
Yep.
up, and he stayed with me for a couple days while he was doing something for
Yep.
work. It's like we put the models on the board and we smashed it out in the middle and punching each other in the face. And I'm like, yes, I would love being in that Texas meta because I love punching stuff in
so
the face.
I like to point out the two tournaments in Vassal that I won. They were like 40-man tournaments, right? None of them had any Texans or anybody that had played against a Texan. I was literally the only person that apparently played aggressive, and that is the main reason why I won the tournament. I think.
It wins games, man.
It does, because like I had like multiple.
it is high risk,
I
high
had
reward.
multiple opponents say, "I did not expect you to be in my deployments on turn one." I'm like, "We're gonna
Yeah,
fight."
that's how it goes.
You try to hide.
take
I came
Al-
for you.
Let's just take Alphonse and let's just yeet him off the board, dude.
Yeah.
So, Brian, we talked about my list a bit. What's yours? I'm really curious to hear the differences
Oh.
between how we play this.
So my list is very generic. Generally, it's Schtook with Whisper because you're dumb if you don't take Whisper on your master. I feel like you're wrong if you don't take Whisper on your master. Well,
So,
you
so
you
before
invest
we
your
go
points
too
in a lot of
far,
other places, right? Like you invest your
Yeah.
points.
but with that
elsewhere.
said, the reason specifically why I don't bring Whisper on this version of Schtook is because, and this is a point that I made forever and ever ago that originally got me shouted out by Dixon, was I was hyping up Von Schtook 2 because after the nerf and everything, I considered Schtook 2 way less like resource intensive.
Card
He
intensive, yeah.
doesn't require resources for the most part to function. He has 2 triggers on his entire card, and neither one of them are necessary to how he functions.
So my problem why I believe I need Whisper is it feels bad when you flip 4s for Study of Anatomy.
Sure.
And then also to guarantee the astronomical insignificance.
Mm-hmm.
To like really lock down model, you look at your cards and go, oh, that's a 13. Okay, there's going to be a model that's not going to score this round. Boom, done, right?
Sure.
And that's why I use it, is just 'cause it allows me to do a lot less situations where I have to burn cards out of my hand for a 6, right? Like burning a 9 out of my hand to hit a study just hurts.
Sure.
So anyway, sorry.
Oh.
No, you're
so
good.
Stoic, Whisper, Valedictorian.
We interrupted
Anna,
you.
Yeah.
2 Students of Viscera, and a Necropunk with Grey Spirit's Touch. This is my general list.
That is incredibly close to like some of my first lists that I use Schtook 2. Because it was, I mean, like running 2 Viscera is very much something I want to do.
Well, but you bring the Curator instead. That's your trade-off.
Yeah.
Is you drop a Viscera to get the Curator with the upgrade, which is good. It allows you to power. Turn 1, you're just dunking on people.
Yeah, basically. And once we talk about some games later, we can go over how that tends to work.
Oh man, the students of Viscera put out stuns.
Oh,
That's-
everything
Yes.
in this crew.
Oh, they all do.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
That's actually one of the
No,
things that I noticed when I was playing with
This makes me
when I was
sad.
playing against Bryan the first time. I was playing Pandora, and like that was the first time I think both of us saw that, because like he threw it on me. I'm like, you do stuns? It's like, yeah, and then I just removed it by targeting one of my
Like
models. And he's like,
everything does.
well, you can remove stuns. Like I can remove whatever I want.
Yeah.
And
Honestly, I personally feel like arguably the grossest thing on the Viscera is the fact that it has severe injury built in.
Yeah.
So, like
That's
oftentimes
super
I'll charge this sucker in
Yeah,
because
it's
mind
pretty
you,
bad.
it's quicker than shit.
it will
Right, so it's-
ambush. So you have to
It's going well, it's
start-
ambush
And
and
rush.
and rush.
And
So
rush.
you're charging 7 inches.
It's true.
And
So
if it's near the totem.
yep, the totem does that.
Oh god, I forgot that the totem did that. The totem has what do we call the +1 ability to walk,
Move
Yeah.
along.
move on. Oh jeez.
So oftentimes the Viscera will charge in, hit somebody, hit them for double severe injury, just give them injured 2, and just melt them. Because like the perfect go with it is like hitting them with that, and then second action hitting them with onslaught, and then punch them a third time.
That is so good.
And like I've melted
I-
Bill Algren in a single activation doing that before.
I can see you doing that, and then using your bonus to put stunned out, and then like next activation, it's like, oh, and here's Von Schtook doing extra damage to you.
Yep.
Ha, ha, ha.
Get
Hey,
got.
but
Now, something that's also fun with him is because of lessons learned on the front of Schtook's card, where you get the plus flips if you fail a duel.
Yeah.
If you fail a duel and then leave that aura, you still get the lessons learned ability because you fail the duel within the aura.
Yeah.
So you
That's
fail
a
the duel.
point I didn't notice. Actually, oh shit!
Yeah,
I'm
damn it,
learning things
Damn it,
too.
Bryan.
So you fail the duel. So you try to stun. If it fails, you okay, that's fine. And then you just charge them and you beat them to death with plus flips.
Hey.
It's horrible. I'm a bad person.
A
I know.
Lamau.
Well, that's just speaking. I mean, that's the kind of stuff where I think once you start doing like a decent amount of games, like that's something you probably get at like game 10 to 15 where you're like, oh yeah, I can just do this now, and now I can charge and get positive.
Something that I got by watching people play was I saw finally the student of Steel. I never saw the student of Steel on the table until
I didn't know that was a model, dude. I think Zach talked about it, and I was like, I didn't even know this was a model.
exists. Yeah, no, like I watched the game between Schtook 1 though, but it was Schtook 1 versus Hoffman, and I saw the guy bring 3 students of Steel, and I was like, what the hell is that? And
I don't agree with that, but okay.
I don't agree.
No. In the well, actually, I don't remember who the result is, but I do remember that it was. Actually, I don't think I remember this though. I remember the student of Steel were one rounding Hoffman's models, like the and Melissa Core was like fearing for her life
So the problem is that
because they
if you
ignore
want
armor.
him into Hoff 1, he just uses his ability to like heal them, and then makes it so you can't ignore their armor anymore. And then Peacekeeper runs
Right.
in with armor 2 and stomps them.
This was Hoffman 2 though, so that didn't
Okay.
happen. So that's the big
I
one.
mean, Huffman 2 just hits you with 4 irreducible, or it's 4 irreducible, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 4 irreducible 3 times. Turn 1, then turn 2
You
does
could
it
you
again.
could do it to each of those students of Steel. You could go pow pow pow, and just they're half dead.
mean,
Yeah, and then
Yep.
next turn, go first and just remove them off the board. Like that's
I'm just telling you what I saw, and it was pretty funny. And it was,
That
maybe
is funny.
it wasn't the caliber of player that you guys are, but the game was fun to watch because I saw models that I don't normally see.
I think you're just, and I think it's just that, yes, it's a good tech pick in that situation, but I think when you over-invest in it like that, and then it doesn't work out because, like, well, now you have 21 points sunk into this counter pick, essentially.
like I'd rather go with 1 in that scenario because of, I mean, you still takes 2 turns to kill a model with Hoff 2,
Right.
and you still get the same effectiveness where you can do analyze weakness, and then
Yeah.
Valley runs in and removes the model.
Gotcha.
Right. So point efficiency with your points tends to go towards only needing 1 in general cases.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
I think
I
my
agree
first
with
time
that.
running into a Hoff 2, I ran 2 of them into him, and it was a bad time.
Over
I should
excessive.
have done that. I got ruined.
Well, because I think with these models and other models that also have it, analyze weakness is really good, but you got to think, how many times do you want to do analyze weakness, and then early on in the turn do analyze weakness with your next student of Steel? You usually don't. Usually you want to set up the analyze weakness, then bring a beater in to benefit from it, right?
Yeah.
So I can definitely see that.
Though, speaking of Hoffman and Schtook, so I was actually somewhat inspired by those Hoffman 2 Second Master lists. And so I tried some stupid jank not too long ago where I brought Molly in as a Second Master with a couple not Viscera, but Sinew. Basically trying to replicate the concept where they would obey Molly to use her disturbing story to hit people for min 3 irreducible.
How did that work?
Yeah, how'd that go?
The Sinew both died super early on, and I was sad.
Yeah, I can't see that being super effective because one, you
They
need a
look cool.
crow to hit. You need a 6
Yep.
plus of crows.
Yep.
And then Molly has to hit a 7.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy with how it played out, but it was entertaining.
Yeah.
to say the least.
I'm trying to think. Like, I'm sure it could probably happen and be really good every now and then, but it's a lot of investment.
That's the problem with Hoffman, though, is when you look at the models that can do that, usually you can spend like power tokens to build in the suit, so it makes it less intensive, right?
Right.
Yeah, and it was a for funsies sort of thing. Like I was banking on my card draw and Molly's card draw to hopefully try and nab myself those crows, but it was a failed experience.
How frustrating
really.
is that when you're digging for a suit, like maybe you want to try a leap later in the turn, or I know for Zip sometimes I'm looking for a certain suit, and you're trying to draw cards with like several activations and you just can't find the suit you need. But I feel like Schtook is probably a little better at that just because you can sometimes just draw cards accidentally.
I mean, I draw nothing but weeks, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's true. By the end of it,
They're out of the deck then, right?
exactly. By the end of the turn, you'll have 6 weeks in hand, which is great because that means you can just dump them all.
Discard
and you have
them off,
6
yeah.
less
Yep.
weeks in the
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
it
nice.
happens all the time.
Yeah. They're like, man, you have a full hand. This is awful. And it's like, well, they're a bunch of 1s, 2s, and 3s,
Yeah.
so.
See, I just try and use it as intimidation. It's like, yeah, I got 6 cards, man. Come at me, bro. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to.
I'm
I'm
kinda-
like, okay, that's fine because I can't do shit.
This is a random question, but I'm kind of curious what you guys think about it because I do, obviously drawing cards is always good, but I actually find myself liking card cycling better just because I feel like I can sculpt and filter out my deck and my hand a little bit. So that's why I like crews like Zip where it's like, you know, showboating, cool, I'm going to do this and I get to draw a card. And I don't know, there's just something satisfying to me where I get to filter and look at more cards as opposed to just drawing a couple of cards throughout the turn.
So then Schtook is for you because let me tell you why.
All right, tell me why.
So
Tell
Schtook
me
does
why I
this
should play
thing.
Rezzers.
Yeah, so Schtook does this thing, and he targets your model, and like you flip higher than him, and it's like, all right, well I'm gonna miss this duel. Well, I'm gonna cheat this one in to tie suits, which will let me draw a card, so I card cycle, and then I get plus flips on my next action. On top of it, so you're getting some combos with that.
It is gross.
Yeah, it's hilarious when you cheat down and you look at your opponent and say, "Do you want to cheat to stop me from drawing a card? Because I'm okay either way. Waste a card or let me draw one."
Yep.
And the funny psychological aspect of Von Schtook, just because of studied opponent, like against people who don't know Schtook, you're going to draw a
Basically
shitload of
draw
cards.
cards. Yeah.
Against people who do know Schtook, they're going to be cheating down or just
wasting
like, or they're like,
cards.
oh, I'm going to lose, so I'm going to waste this card. Like oftentimes you're melting their hand from cards that they don't need or cards that they do need just to avoid you drawing more cards.
See, but that's the thing. You can't, though. Like, throughout the entirety of the turn, you just can't. I mean, there's times where I think there are probably a couple times where maybe you do try to deny that, especially if maybe you have like a shit card.
Yeah.
But there's certain times where it's like, I'm not cheating for this. I know you're going to get a card, and it might be a 13, but fuck it.
So that's one of the reasons why I like Schtook is because part of what I think makes a good player is being able to exert pressure on your opponent.
Yes.
And applying mental pressure is another thing where you're making them make extra decisions and extra choices. And studied opponent is just an extra, hey, do you want to cheat or do you not want to cheat? Just an extra little thing.
And that's even on their activation.
On their activations.
You're forcing that.
You're constantly like, hey, do you want to give me a card or not? And that's just it's extra little bits of pressure. And over the course of a game, by hour 1.5, they're so annoyed at you for asking these questions that you just get in their heads really, really quickly. And it allows you to control the game a lot better.
Stop asking me that.
Just draw your stupid card. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Because my favorite implementation of that is when, like, you have a duel go off and your opponent's beating you. And you're like, well, I don't have anything in hand where I could win this. So I'm going to cheat something in to match their suit. And now they have to decide if they're going to just, like, take their win and let me draw, or now they have to look through their hand and go, oh, do I want to avoid this? Do I have,
Yeah,
So-
my favorite thing is whenever you like you win the duel and they're thinking about cheating, you go, okay, just so you know, I do have a crow in this duel, so if you play a crow, I'm gonna draw a card, and they go,
Yeah.
So
what do I
you're doing that
do?
just to bait them. You're just baiting them to waste cards.
It's baiting them because if they were gonna they're gonna cheat the 13, and if they have to now start thinking, do I cheat the 13 and give them a card? Is it actually worth in the scenario?
Yep.
Which just adds additional mental pressure in the game.
Because, I mean, depending on your hand, too, sometimes them giving you a card is better than the action going off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's the
Or even cheating so that way it's a negative flip instead of a straight flip. They're like, well, is it really worth
Yeah.
the negative flip
Yeah.
to give you a card? And it's like, just go ahead, flip your duel. All right, well, there's a moderate take 4 damage. Like,
because one of the things that I don't know. This is way back when I used to be more competitive. You layer things because in the top tables, what seems to be the difference is usually who makes more mistakes, like who makes bigger mistakes. And one of the ways to inflict that is mental fatigue, because in the top tables, whoever has more is more conditioned basically to be tired, exhausted, have to like go through a whole bunch of like permutations in your head. It's like, all right, these numbers are going in this order. Good God Almighty! Wait, did I do that wrong? Because if you get wrong 5 + 5 = 10 one time, it might cost you the entire game.
yep. And that's why people hate playing into me, is because I'm constantly trying to exert that mental pressure on my opponents. And so they're tired by the end of the game, and they're just like, "Oh my God, why do I have a headache right now? This is awful."
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also, I think why you probably like Von Schtook and why he's good at this is because there's different pressures that you're applying here. Obviously, this is super annoying that we're talking about right now, and it's making you make extra decisions, and you're going down these different decision paths. But also you have, the valedictorian who's, putting physical pressure on models where it's like, I'm killing models unless you deal with this. Von Schtook himself is displacing models, putting damage out, putting stunned out. There's stunned from other models coming out. And there's a lot of counter tech picks that you have with some of these students. And then you have these scheming, necropunks flying around. And then you have these random shockwaves coming from like your assistant and shit. So it's just, there's so many different things that you have to try and consider. But it seems like Von Schtook has so many answers that it doesn't, you're going to forget about something. And if you're really good with Von Schtook, it seems like you can really capitalize with that.
Yeah.
Honestly, like just speaking of the research assistant, like it's become like one of the most hated models in my meta, just because of how fucking annoying it is.
That stupid vile attack, man! It makes me want to punch him in his stupid face.
I'll tell you right now, if you're playing Von Schtook, remove that model as fast as possible.
Yep.
If you kill the model turn 1, turn 2,
He's in the list of this is a totem that you have to kill. Like there's a
spend your focus,
Yeah.
blow it up, spend some cards. Get it off the table because those shockwaves will ruin your game.
He's an Earl.
He does.
He's a poltergeist. He's one of those models where you're like, that needs to die now. Like
That.
And I've won multiple games now because of that not a bomb trigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
like,
that's a
Maris
sneaky point.
that
Lacroix!
is so dumb.
Surprise!
Dude,
there's a scheme
That's
marker.
why I love Maris. And dude, Zach, 100%. I didn't even know that was a trigger till you said it. But that trigger is money because Maris has it, and there's just times where you get it, and you're just putting extra schemes out, and it's beautiful.
Actually disgusting on him because he's insignificant. So like the thing is,
Yeah.
like your brain automatically,
it's even
your
better.
brain doesn't automatically check on, he's gonna drop a scheme marker. You're just more like, oh, whatever, he's gonna drop any number of like, poison.
And
But no,
as opposed to Maris, it's an 8-inch range gun, so it's even further distance, which is
don't
good.
compare it
And
to
what-
Maris.
I do. Maris is my
No, that's my
love
point. Maris is like way better than this model, but the fact that he has this trigger makes this model dangerous.
I'm just saying the extra range is better than Maris's thing, not the model in general.
I know.
And just like the number of
Maris
times
is
where
gold.
I've ran like a model up the side and like, oh, they're kind of standing partially in the enemy's deployment zone. Nobody thinks about it, and I just chuck that thing over there. Oh, there's a scheme marker breaker.
It's dumb.
Or the number of times where you can play off like lucky scheme marker drops, where it's like, oh no, I didn't flip high enough. I guess I'll just put this in. Oh, it's not a bomb. Okay, I guess there's a scheme there now. Oh, there's a point.
And Research Assistant is so money because it's going to be one of your later activations because it's not doing anything sexy, But as far as scoring points, like putting poison on somebody at the end of the turn just to do extra damage, you know, also getting these ski markers out just randomly, just for like leave your mark or sabotage or something. There's a lot of playability with that for sure. And hell, why not just put an injured out? Why not?
Why not? It's fine.
Why not? I've never actually gotten that ability to hit something, admittedly. But I think that's just a luck thing more than anything else.
Yeah, I use it to card cycle for the most part. You know, you do it and then
to fail and then get positives.
well, that and yeah, fail, get positives for your bomb, and then also you do it offensively, so that way you can cheat your 1 or your 2 win to draw a card because you can tied suits.
Yep. It's kind of
And
funny.
there's also the surge trigger on it if you somehow
And surge
manage
if
to get
you
it
get
off
it.
too.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because like that. I was gonna say is like I've seen it being played on friendly models at the end of the turn just to draw an extra card for some ungodly reason.
Well, so you do that so that if you draw a weak card, you can trash it, or if you draw a strong card, you can keep it. Right? Like that's
Okay,
you're trying to stack your deck a little bit.
got it.
So we've talked about a lot of these models. Is there? Now I know we talked about the Corpse Curator, but are there any other either Verstiles or out of keyword models that you guys like bringing occasionally?
Zach mentioned Sloth.
So
That's for Schtook 1.
That's for Schtook 1, yeah.
Okay,
And that's just to
In my
bring
list?
give out the fast thing that you kind of lost with the original version.
gotcha.
Yeah. I don't. So I'm a purist. I try to stay fully in keyword with my models. I don't really branch
That's what I'm
out.
talking about.
Like every now and then I'll do versatiles, but with Schtook, I think he has so many built-in answers, and his studied opponent is just so good in general that I want as much studied opponent and stunned as I can get into my list. So I don't bring anything else with him.
Well, and I also think lesson learned too, right? That only applies to his
Yep.
keyword. So that's another thing where it's like I want that as much as possible.
Yeah. Like there's nothing else that just brings enough impact. I do like the curator idea though. Like that's actually interesting to double focus everything, but I'll need to play with that post Nova. I won't be able to bring it next week.
Yeah, and admittedly, like normally it works really well. Like in my game against Andre, he just got turned into a focus battery, and it was just sad. But that game was a bit of a drag. Because like to the point made earlier about the later games and tournaments, people being worn down. I tend to go the opposite, where I'm usually sharper by the end of the day than I am early on in the day because I'm not a morning person at all. So my first few games, my first game, usually I'm sluggish as a motherfucker. But no, a curator in that situation was not entirely worthwhile. But typically, I tend to like it, and normally I would agree with you. I usually like going in keyword, but I thought this was a too fun little thing to do not to.
It's definitely a pretty powerful buff to just pulse out, like give everyone double focus, and then you just dunk on them turn 1. It lets you alpha really strongly with Schtook 2, which
Going
I'm like,
hard.
yeah.
Right. I mean, I usually set those 3 models up into defensible but offensively capable positions, because when you move them up there like that, the armor and the shield matched with hard to wound usually means that if they try and put forward a not too focused offensive front against them, they're probably not going to actually do any damage. Though, like, there was a situation where I played against a Yuko 2 list, and I threw the Viscera up, right? Completely just launched it into Bill's face and nuked Bill off the table. He
I assume this is into Landon?
No, but it was his list.
Okay.
Hinamatsu ran in. No, you could. Hinamatsu ran in on him, got 6 attacks off, did 4 damage.
Yep.
Aww.
Well, I mean, Hinamatsu is trash into Transmortis because it's 2, 3, 4, and armor 1 just makes
a lot
it.
of armor.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah,
armor
so the
1
first-
and harder wound specifically. Those 2 things put together is what.
And then
Along with the
shielded.
shielded 2. So the first 2 attacks did no damage, and then the remaining 4 all did 1 damage each.
As a Von Schill player, I can attest that having armored and shielding is super good.
Yep.
Yes.
Super good.
I
So,
call
I mean, like,
shenanigans. Why can't Neverborn get that?
Yeah, Neverborn doesn't
You
get
don't
buff.
you don't deserve it. That's why.
on,
Hey,
on the
haters.
opposite end, though, like
All of you
that
haters.
hard to wound bites you in the ass so often.
Yep.
Um,
You see
so
more
yeah.
red jokers than anything else in
yeah,
this game.
the Valedictorian is such a red Joker magnet. I played a game against
It's true.
Cooper 2. No, Cooper. Yeah, it was Cooper 2. And I rolled Val in onto Cooper, and it was like right at the end of the turn. Cooper turned around, punched her, missed. Punched a second time, got like the triple negative, red jokered me on damage, right? So I'm like, oh, that sucks. Attacks one more time, mid damage flip. There's like a triple negative again. He flips 2 cards, shuffles deck, drops it, flips red joker again. So she
Yep.
Sounds like you deserved it.
Happens
2
a
attacks
lot.
in a row.
So that's the biggest weakness of Heart of Wound is you see those red jokers a lot more often.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you're playing to a Reser, you want that red joker in your deck because you want to flip down the Heart of
Oh
Wound.
yeah, for sure.
I know it's like one of the main rules. Like, you want to have the red Joker in the deck running. That's one of the main rules. You got to remember that.
Yeah. And you're gonna flip your whole deck against a Reser. So
Yeah,
if
always.
it's in there, you're gonna see it.
Yeah, but focus is a lot less strong against wrestlers as well, which is the part that sucks.
You don't want to focus into Resers.
Yeah, because like, oh, do you ignore Heart of Wound? No, well,
Tip.
they're still a negative. Sucks to suck.
So I think the next place we need to go with this, as we kind of move in towards the end of this, is what. And it sounds like you guys feel comfortable dropping Von Schtook 2 into most pools. Is there any strategies and schemes that you tend to like more with this crew?
Not necessarily. I think that he can play into just about everything very, very well.
I agree.
Primarily because of his study of anatomy ability, where he can move a model and let them interact out of activation.
Does that make it even okay to play into like corner?
Oh,
Yeah, because
yeah.
you can get the board pretty quickly.
Okay.
There's really no issues with that. Like,
Yeah, like
I can't
if-
think of a... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if need be, like if you don't feel the need to use that general action for a second focus, in my case, you can just make them walk. So
Yeah.
in the case of like the valedictorian, that is okay. From 10 inches away, I tell you to move 10 inches, gain shielded 2, basically.
You guys don't worry. You're not worried about Yanlo to Tara or Colette at all.
I mean, there's definitely worry, but I think that comes down to in-game and caliber of the person you're playing rather than matchup fears.
That
right?
player strength seems to be doing a lot of work lately.
Yeah, I think player strength is... When you're playing with Schtook, it's player strength because of... You can't do better in Resers than Schtook.
Well, and I feel like in GG3, it feels like there's a lot of obviously positioning, right? Like you want to be in spots, and you also want to have models that are going to stay there. You also want there's still some things where you want to drop schemes. There's still some killy stuff, and honestly, everything we've been talking about, it seems like Schtook can pretty much flex into all those different little nooks and crannies you want to put him into.
Yeah, I would say he's not best in class at any of those things, but he is above average at all of those things.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, because
you can move your own models out of activation. You can offensively move your enemies' models. You can drop scheme markers en masse at range. Oftentimes, I feel
so
like
what's his best strat then in GG3? Do you think? I would guess carve, but I don't know.
Carve
No.
is good. Personally, I think I like curse objects, which is weird, but he's a killy. Like he plays very killy,
Sure.
right? When he moves the models up, the interact action can be to throw the idols off his own models.
That's a good point.
So he can just dump all of his idols, and that way,
And you're not using the model's actions.
right? So it's a lot better.
I mean, I have to ask, like, have you guys played against either of you? Have you guys played against Nelly? Now that came up,
No,
neither of
No,
you.
not
I
recently.
haven't seen Nelly 2 yet.
Interesting. Nelly won as well. Both of them have the same thing. Exclusive interview. because I want to see how people are dealing with that if it's been happening in the real world.
So exclusive interview is, I mean, as long as you're not within 2 inches of them, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So because they're constructs, you place them 3 inches, so you just place them outside the 2 inch reach, and then
There
you
you
drop
go.
the marker.
No,
It's not
no, curse. I'm talking about in curse objects giving.
Oh,
yeah, because
right.
they'll remove the token, give it to you, and you can't give it back, or you can't give it to them.
Yeah, I think you just have to kill them very quickly.
You have to kill them outside of their basically before
Just
they
alpha the
okay.
shit out of them.
Yeah, you have to alpha them. Yeah, you have to kill them at range, or you have to just dive with focus and be like, this model's gonna die.
Okay.
There's no option.
Okay.
Because yeah,
What about you, Zach? What are you liking? What's your best strat that you think Schtook goes into?
Honestly, I think I'd personally probably put him into one of the two stand a guy here strats, so covert or guard the stash. And mainly because he has the ability to disrupt the enemy's scoring. He can get people almost anywhere he needs them on the table, and they have the durability to last long enough to where it matters.
Yep.
Otherwise, of course, they just have the damage necessary to remove anything that's kind of getting in the way. I do think he really likes this scheme pool as well. All the schemes that require dropping scheme markers, I think he's just super good at it. I noted set the trap before. I think he's incredibly good at that. Because you want to be tossing
Yeah,
scheme markers
I think
by enemies
half
anyway.
the schemes are scheme marker based.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and like I said, I love him in Carve the Path too, because he can use your models to throw your marker, and so Carve the Path is weird because if I throw your markers as 4 inches, but if you throw them at 6, so I use your own models to throw them 6 inches backwards, right?
Yep.
You son of a bitch.
And so it allows a lot of flexibility, and that's, I think at the end of the day, that's what puts him above other masters is the flexibility allows him to do
Huge flexibility.
there's not a pool you can play into that's going to be bad for him.
Yep.
With that said, though, he does require a certain level of setup in order to get the maximum value out of these actions. You need that scheme marker in that area.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't activate this crew in Von Schtook specifically and be like, well, I guess I'm going to walk and charge. It's like, no, you need to have more worthwhile actions that you're planning out with Von Schtook, because you really do need to kind of plan it out and be like, yes, I can score at this point, or I can deny this point by moving that there. Also, I feel like if you're really good at, sniffing out your opponent's schemes, you're probably a pretty good Von Schtook player, because you're like, yeah, that's probably that. Let me go ahead and throw that model over there.
Or I just use my
Turn it
bonus
off.
and turn him off.
Yeah, let's not forget that ability, or that action, I should say.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited to play Dixon, because I'm going to make sure I use that ability to the perfect use every turn and just make him rage quit.
Nah.
That's the goal.
Bring it.
Dixon, have you? I don't know if I've ever seen you actually.
Oh, I've rage quit multiple times online. Holy shit! The last time I rage quit, I was playing against Double Master, Mike Morning 2, Seamus 2, and it was miserable, like horrendous. Because every time they drop a corpse and they walk the stupid curator, they basically did double damage with hazardous plus poison me. It was just like this is I hate life. Just fucking get me out of here.
So it just dawned on me. The Landon Yuko list that you mentioned, the person I played against who was playing, his name is Tony. Tony has played against Dixon. He played, I believe, your first game against Yanlo 2 is right before I was supposed to come on to talk about Yanlo 2.
Yes.
Yes, so you've played against Tony.
Yeah, that was. I played against Tony a couple of times actually. If I think about it, pretty
Okay.
sure.
Is he your buddy from Ohio? Is that kid? Is that?
No,
Wait.
he's up in Michigan.
Tony is the young lord that plays in 10 Thunders, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I played against him a couple of times. Yeah, no, that list is hard. Like I only played a couple of times against him, so I haven't figured out yet how to play well against him. To be honest, because that's one of the things that I like to do lately. It's like I want to see more of the list to try to see if I can figure out a good strategy against him.
Yeah.
It's really honestly, it's been more fun, even if I lose more games, because I'm trying things out. So I would like to play Tony again. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. I haven't played against him in a while.
I was going to play Dixon if he had power.
Yeah, we were gonna play today. That's so sad.
See, now you lost your opportunity.
No, I
We're
didn't.
gonna play Vassal
We can
again.
play tomorrow.
Deleting it from the computer.
Whatever.
It's
We can
gone.
play tomorrow.
So speaking of playing, Zach, are you going to Nova?
I am not.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It was one of those things where it didn't quite fall into my schedule. Lots of work changes kind of threw my entire world up, and I've just been trying to collect it and figure it out. But it's the plan for next year. I'd like to actually get enough tournament games in to qualify and go.
Low key, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Nova to me is one of the hardest tournaments to kind of line up.
Yeah,
Because
because
it's usually it's right after Gen Con. It's usually Labor Day weekend ish.
Yeah.
It's in DC. DC's kind of a pain in the ass anyway.
I lived there. I'm telling you right now, it's a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah, so it was very hard for me to go to Gen Con and this. I had to bribe my wife 6 months ago to be able to pay for
Fair.
everything.
I'm trying to do that with that Houston GT. I'm like, man, I got to really bribe my wife to go down there, and I'm still trying to, still trying to get that working. So we'll see if I can.
Hopefully you
sweet
do,
talk
because
my
I
way
think
into
that's
it.
going to be
Speaking
your
of-
favorite tournament.
It is. I love the Texas dudes.
Speaking of, definitely need to plug that. We are having a GT down in Houston, Texas. I believe it is the second weekend of October.
7th to the 9th, I believe.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the exact dates.
Well, what I
'Cause
saw,
I plan on going to that.
what I saw that
Awesome.
went from those from the events is that it's like a mini con. There's more than just the main events and the big tournaments. People can go there with their families. They're gonna be board games. They're gonna be a whole bunch of little events and seriously, people should come out and
Store is pretty legit,
people should
dude.
definitely come and just support these guys because they're doing so much for the
Lit-
community.
You can listen to 2 episodes ago where Dixon and Doug were geeking out with each other, talking about Titania.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun. We're trying to get as big as possible.
And they got their beer licensing issue taken care
Yes.
of.
So we do have beer on site, so you can drink while you're playing your games.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And you get to play on some of the best Malifaux boards of all, homemade terrain by our local Doug Bowman, which is
Doug's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Some of the terrain he makes, I'm like, Doug, send me some of this terrain. I want some
He
of
sells
it.
most of it.
He's
He does.
damn good too.
Yeah, he's a great designer for.
I just
big
bought
terrain.
all this Chi and Gong stuff. I can't also buy terrain, okay?
Oh, you can buy it in a couple months. It's fine.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's fine. It's fine.
It's okay. Yeah, your wife will understand.
So, also, we were talking about counters to Von Schtook, and you guys said he pretty much doesn't have any.
not
There is
exactly.
a counter, but it's not hard counters.
Uh-huh.
It's play style. One, obviously, kill his totem, take that thing off the board.
Yep.
Line of sight blocking's big, and then
So,
also,
is it more dissecting the crew than it is countering it?
yeah, you want to pick
mean-
the crew apart.
I would say marker removal to get rid of his speed markers is going to hinder his effectiveness. If you're disrupting his AP usage, making him spend AP to drop more speed markers to set up things,
Yeah.
that'll slow him down considerably.
Also, if you bring anti-armor, because his crew
There's a lot of armor.
severely relies on armor to stay up, and so if you bring
So, if I have precise models, this is perfect.
yes, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
precise models, irreducible, absolutely destroys his crew.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's required for any competitive crew.
True.
Is you want to make sure you have something to deal with armor because everything great has armor. nowadays.
Hoffman, I would say, is a huge problem for this crew because
He is.
2 shots kills most models in the crew.
Yeah, but Schtook also has a lot of healing in his crew now.
Huh?
Because the student Visceras can heal your models because he can count them all as living.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
gonna remove a model. That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's why would healing
So-
stop him killing them in 2 shots?
So the only way to do it right from him is he has to activate last and then activate first. Is the only way for him to do it right.
Correct. So it's a little bit of there control. Obviously, I'm not saying that it's brain dead. He automatically wins.
Well, I think that's what he was saying is that there are some good things to counter-ish,
Yeah.
but it alone isn't going to beat Von
100%.
Schtook,
But
right?
like that's what I'm saying. Like out of bad matchups that I know for a fact, Hoffman is one of them. Which is why I was shocked that that other guy was actually doing decently. At least until I saw, because I'm trying to remember the rest of the game, but I don't remember the end. And I remember it was Hoffman 2 versus Schtook 1. That's it. And that looked rough for a little bit. And then those two little fuckers that still lived, because it was 3, he two-shot at one of them, and then the other two ganged up and killed Melissa Core, and then after that I can't remember. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Okay.
It's a 7-point model and a 10-point basically henchman, and the henchman died.
I think it's like anything else where you just got to figure out which models are just the pain points and just try to kill
Right.
those.
Yep.
Right. But the big thing is
And the
probably
stainless
the
steel does
playstyle.
have built-in armor piercing, so that helps.
That's the big reason why I was shocked to see them, because I had
Is it
never
built-in
seen them
too?
on the table. Yeah,
Yes, it's built-in.
yeah,
Yeah, with a heal, which is nice, and then also a stun.
yeah.
So,
But speaking to those heals and how effective the heals can be, I did have a game against Terra where Val got buried, had the shit kicked out of her, came up with 1 health, and I was able to launch my Viscera forward and just heal her almost to max. So,
That's frustrating.
What the?
and then of course,
But I don't
Well-
feel bad because it's Terra.
well, also think about it this way, right? So, the Viscera fails its stun duel intentionally. Those heal flips are on pluses.
yep.
Oh shit, that's true.
So your heal 1, 2, 3 plus flip, it's really nice.
Is it? Is it?
For me, it is.
I mean, for everybody
Yeah,
but
then
us.
then of course Schtook follows up, drops a ski marker up there, heals him a little bit more, and then at that point
I think it's
you
shield.
got a mostly healed Val in a Viscera and Schtook standing right behind him. It's like, okay, I guess I'm dead.
And that's fun. Yeah, and it is a really solid keyword. I think that if people like learn how to play it, they'll definitely get a lot out of it. So I do have one question from one patron who was asking about some Schtook questions. So I'll just kind of read this all and you guys can reply how you want. But this is from Kylie. Thanks for being a patron. You rock, Kylie. But she said, I'm curious if Guard the Stash in GG3 has given more reason to take Students of Sinew in Schtook 2, as you can make enemy models undead when they are near a scheme marker and walk them off of the point, or does needing a crow with no easy ways to give it make that too hard to rely on?
I think it makes it a little difficult to rely on, honestly.
Is that kind of like your Molly situation you were talking about?
Yeah, and honestly, when you already have means of moving them with Schtook himself, or, just having Val run up and shove them out of
Yeah.
the way.
So, well, the question I guess I have with Schtook, because obviously you can manipulate your models pretty easily, but how hard is it to give a characteristic to another model? Because
As long as they're within 3 inches of a scheme marker, which
is it, so
very
how
easy
hard
to
is that? So if you think it's pretty easy for the crew
yeah,
to set that
and
up?
if
Yeah.
you really need it, you use his action Light of Elios. You need a 4, and you just throw a scheme marker within 6 inches of him.
Yeah.
So you just go, here's a scheme marker. I
So if you don't have it set up, you can pretty easily do it on his activation.
yeah, it's not a problem. And then if you can place them, and then you can walk them, or you can make them walk if you don't want to place them. If you want them to take damage instead, and then also, like Zach was saying, Val with shove. I mean, she's a stat 7. You stone for the mask, and I mean, you're gonna get that hit. That's not gonna be
Yeah.
a problem for you.
Yeah, stat 7. Stat 7 is real good.
Yeah,
She's
unfortunately,
set 7 on like everything.
if they change the Student of Sinew to where he got the crow built in if the opposing model was within range of a scheme marker or something, that would fix that. But him having to fish for that card is going to make it very difficult.
The thing about that action is, so it's, in my mind, it's a contrast to Command Construct. Like, you got Command Construct, you got Command Corpse. Command Construct is a bonus action. but it oftentimes has the suit built in. When Command Corpse is not a bonus action, it doesn't have the suit. I
It
almost
doesn't
wish
even
they
have
would.
any triggers on it to like do some fun stuff with it.
Right. So like I almost wish it was a bonus action so they could just give it the suit. Because
Yeah, like why wouldn't you give keeping the piece as the action, and then let Command Course be the bonus with
Right.
the suit built in? That way you only do it once, but you can guarantee it to go off once.
Yeah, I mean otherwise as they stand right now, like Command Construct, I mean Command Corpse rather is cute, but you're almost better off using them as just another generic theater because you can use their current bonus action, get the ram, so you can punch, and then so you can hit 3 times. Admittedly, like I have a lot of issues with the sinew. Like
They're not a
what-
7-point model at all.
yeah, like I mean, so they can hand out stun just like all the other students, but theirs is at a stat 5 instead of a stat 6. They are the only student that doesn't have a suit built into their melee attack, which I get under the context that they have puncture and flay, so they have like almost like a 50% chance of getting a trigger that may allow them to cheat on damage, which I think might be a little underappreciated. But I just think the rest of their kit is just undesirable in comparison to the steel or the sinew. Sinew especially, the sinew are ridiculous. I mean, not sinew, viscera. Sorry.
Yeah, the Viscera are too good.
He's like
Yeah.
1 point more, but he's so fast. He has the same
Yeah.
damage as them. He's like
Same damage, better electro nodes, built-in severe injury, onslaught. Has a heal if you need it. I mean, and defense 5, so he's more defensible.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he's literally almost as fast. I'm sorry, almost
Ignore his
twice
terrain,
as
too.
fast as the other two. Like,
Yeah.
because he's speed 7 basically when he charges. That's obscene when you look at the other guys, and the other guys are speed 4 for some reason.
yep, yeah. The student sinew is not worth 7 points, unfortunately. If it was 6, maybe you can see the table, but the student steel is generally better if you want the 7-point model, and
What about undergrads? Do you guys not bring those
not
anymore?
anymore. They're worthless.
Yeah, like I dinked around with them with some of my first few crews with Schtook 2, and yeah, like I've
Well,
pulled
they
out
used to have by your side and get like a free attack, right?
yeah, so like they still have the ability to get that free attack. They can only get it 2 ways now. They have a trigger on their bonus action, not chain gang, it's the other one. Similar effect where you just move somebody where they can place instead of pushing. And then of course you have Schtook using Study of Anatomy to place them, which admittedly it's a really cool combo in this sense because you could place them, give them shielded or something, and then make them take the focus, and then they punch.
Okay.
So at that point you could aim. I mean they got severe 5, so I mean it's not too bad.
Yeah, but they're better in Schtook 1 as a summon, right?
Right.
Like, so you kill a model that's 6 or 7 points, preferably 6, because 7 you want a student steal, but 6-point
Yep.
model you kill it, drop the undergrad, it gets a free shot, and then you remove the scheme marker to remove the slow and then give it fast, and then it's just this nice little combo swing.
Gotcha.
But Schtook 2, I just there's better things for 6 points.
Yeah.
I'd
I
rather
agree.
bring Gravedigger personally.
I remember that after they got nerfed, you and I played a game, and you tried them out because you were trying to practice with them.
Oh yeah, that was our one game that we played.
Yeah.
They did okay. Like I think I got lead the way with the attendant trigger once.
I thought that
It
we
was
played
okay.
twice. Sorry. I thought that we
Did we
played
play
twice.
twice?
I thought so. One
Maybe
time
we
with
did.
Pandora and the other time Double Master. Double Master is the time that you did. You beat me the first time when we were playing in a tournament. It was actually a tournament game, if I remember correctly. It's either that or we were practicing for the
It had
tournament.
been practiced because
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever played Double Master.
No,
in
you
a tournament
didn't.
game.
You didn't play Double Master. You played
Oh,
Schtook by
but
itself. I played
You ran
Double Master.
Titania and
Pandora.
Pandora, that's right.
Yeah, and he won.
Heathen.
I was like, well, I got by the stupid anti upgrade thing.
He rushed in and was like, "Oh, my upgrade doesn't matter
Well
anymore."
deserved.
Yeah, I was like
Which-
literally within 6 inches of every model in his crew, and he's like, Schtook says you don't have upgrades, and I'm like, Well, fuck.
Black Joker.
No, literally. I think he Black Jokered an important attack. It was like, I'm going to reflip this. I said, no, you're not. Keep that on the board.
you're not.
Yeah, I was like,
That's there to stay, dude.
yeah, I was like, in the arms of an angel. It was so sad.
So let's go ahead and just to sum this all up before we do just our little signing out of here. What is your quick elevator pitch to why you would say somebody would want to play this keyword?
My elevator pitch is if you want flexibility to the game, and if you want to only buy a single keyword to learn this game, and to run the one keyword, have the least amount of investment possible in Malifaux, and be competitive, this is the only keyword you need to be competitive.
If you also love having cards in your hand, this is the keyword.
I mean, that's a given.
Do you love cards?
Do you love cards, or do you love armor? Do you love Hard to Wound? I've got all of that.
That's so damn good.
Yeah, I concur honestly though. But yeah, like I guess my thought on that would be just if you like the concept of reliability and durability in a keyword that has just enough jank to where you're constantly learning things while also constantly asking new questions, I think this is the keyword for you.
Yep.
Now, my problem is that after this podcast, so many people are going to switch to Schtook that I need to come up with a good answer for them.
Oh no, we just single-handedly just told Weird that they need to nerf Schtook again.
I really think that's why Schtook 1 got nerfed. I think I went onto a podcast and talked about how great he was, and Matt said, "Oh, I didn't think about those things."
I don't like
He
that.
just like knocked it all off.
Just as a disclaimer to any Weird employees that are listening,
I don't think they do, but
no. Matt says he listens to every podcast of Malifaux.
good for him.
Schtook is fantastic, but he's not plug and play. He's not so simple that the brokenness just happens. You have to be at least okay at the game for it to work.
I would say more than okay to make it work. 'Cause there's a lot of small things that you have to make sure you get right to get to that level. And I don't think you get there until like game 20 with Schtook 2.
Mental fatigue. We talk about mental fatigue.
Yeah.
This crew gives you mental fatigue because you have to remember, wait, suits. I have to care about suits.
Yeah. You're constantly paying attention to what everybody flips. You're constantly paying attention to positioning. You're constantly paying attention to auras, where you got your markers, where things are, ranges. Like, there's so much you have to stay on top of to keep it functioning properly, where it's not difficult for you to just kneecap yourself because you just weren't paying enough attention.
Yep. Because, like,
also you have to remember that your opponents have built-in suits on their actions. You go, oh god, that guy has a built-in ram. I have to remember that for the whole game because my opponent's not going to tell me every single time that he shoots me, right?
Right.
Like, I'll have to ask every single time, or I just have to remember.
will not tell you if I have a built-in suit.
Yeah.
I will tell you which one I'm taking, and that's it.
That's another thing. It's like, if you don't ask me what my triggers are, I'm not going to tell you until I have to declare them.
I'm not going to help you win the game.
I'm not going to help you draw cards. Why would I do that?
Yeah, so I do feel like the keyword requires an exceptional amount of just board awareness and just card awareness to maintain them at optimum efficiency.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're probably talking to the two people that probably run Schtook in its most efficient form currently, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't take our opinions as actual fact for the general population of people that play this keyword.
Yeah. I mean, the skill ceiling is pretty high, but I think you guys are making it seem like the skill floor is, like, really high as well.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
to be honest,
a good example is like,
I think I do think there is a base way to run this crew. Like, I think, yes, there is a lot of depth to it, but I think you could just be like, cool, I'm going to bring, either Von Schtook, and then I'm going to bring the Valedictorian, and then I'm going to bring this beater. Right. I think you could very easily, before you learn the trick, still run it and do okay.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. If you want to have a single keyword, you want to spend only $150 on a keyword and be able to play that in a competitive environment and not have to deviate, this is a good one to play with.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for you, even if you didn't know anything about Malifaux, it'd be very difficult for you to look at his keyword, just take only his keyword, and make a bad list, honestly.
And it's just fun.
Oh, it's tons of fun. Not for your opponent, but it's great fun for you.
I think until you learn the dirty tricks, it's probably okay.
Yeah. It's not Jack Daw, okay? Your opponent's not going to tell you that he hopes that you have the worst luck possible.
I'm going to tell you that at the beginning of the
Yeah.
game, just so you know.
I hope you die.
I hope you flip like shit.
Nah, I don't know what it is. But I just seem to draw some ire. I play against this guy online on Vassal, and at the end of the game, I was like, "Hey man, that was a good game. It was really tough and close. I won by like 1
Did he
point."
tell you go fuck yourself?
No, he said, "No, that was a terrible game. It was a bad game. You got lucky. You'll never get lucky against me again."
Wait, that
I hate that
sounds
response.
familiar.
Yeah.
So
it's a very common thing in the Vassal community. It's well known in there.
There's a difference between saying "go fuck yourself" because sometimes I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I have only
When you tell somebody like you got lucky, it's like, oh, so you're just telling your opponent you had no skill or no choice or no agency, you just lucked out.
Pete, that actually happens only in a certain area of the world.
Yeah. There's a specific country
in South Carolina.
No, it's on the other side of the world. It's a very specific country that their players are very bitter and salty. But it's one of my favorite stories of like just saltiness.
I forgot about it until you said it. I was like, wait, I've heard this before. Like, I 100%. No, that was fucking awful. I was like, I have fun, and I've heard it even when I lost the game. Like, I lose the game by 1 or 2 points, and they get salty as shit. I'm like,
I almost get more pissed. Like when I lose a game and it's like it was like something just didn't like come to fruition. I almost am more pissed that it just wasn't a close game for me and my opponent because it wasn't a close game. It was just like, oh, I wish I gave you a tougher game. That's almost what frustrates me more is I always want to give, if I don't win it, I at least want it to be competitive.
Yeah.
So speaking of close games, there was a certain tie that you guys brought up not too long ago that Bryan had at Gen Con that you wanted to know about, and I'm kind of curious about.
Oh, because Dixon was like, yeah, I don't know how Bryan tied. And
so I ran by Schtook 2.
He was fanboying over you, just so you know.
Thank you, Dixon. Appreciate that. Yeah. He's all embarrassed. Now he's blushing.
He's my favorite player. What do you want?
It's cute. Little bromance.
I watch a lot of games, dude, and his games are the most interesting. That's all.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I ran to Cooper 2, and my opponent ran the Rex down my throat turn 1. Top of turn 2, it was I had to kill the Rex, right? That if I don't kill the Rex, I lose this game. And literally dumped every single card out of my hand to kill this Rex. I got it. I killed the Rex. Top of turn 2, removed from the table. I had no cards in hand. My opponent had no cards in hand. It was terrible. And he was just able to score 3 points on turn 2. Score strategy, 2 schemes. And I only scored my strategy point. For the next couple of turns, I was able to deny him from scoring any more points. It was just this really big, bloody back and forth that we were doing. But the problem was on turn 4, I made a mistake because I just wasn't thinking at that point. I had a Necropunk that was engaging one of his dogs because I was like, oh, this Necropunk's going to kill the stupid dog and deny him from scoring. I think it was what strategy was that? Well, what's the strategy for round 2?
That was guard the stash, I think.
It was round 2, so whoever.
It was guard the stash.
Okay.
So he had a dog on guard the stash. So I had to run the Necropunk to deny. And then he just went off with Cooper and just started shooting things on turn 4. And he had killed my Necropunk, but he shouldn't be able to see it. And I missed the shadow rule just barely.
Yeah.
Like if I would have been like, oh yeah, you can't see him. He's only height 1 behind this like height 1 wall. You can't see him. I would have won that game because he killed both Hidden Martyrs targets with Cooper on turn 4. And that cost me 2 points because if he would have killed the other Viscera, scored me with a point, the Necropunk could have survived and then scored the second point on turn 5.
Okay.
Just run into a model and score. So my mistake. That's all. And it was a tight game. It was very, very close. Great game, great opponent.
Joe's a cool guy. I played him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, he's super cool. It just I just forgot a rule. That's all. That's all it was.
That's how it goes in those tournaments, you know.
Yeah, just one small mistake, and I was very surprised that he scored all 3 points on turn 2, and I didn't. He never scored again after that. And I was able to.
That's what I'm telling you. Front load your points as much as you can.
That's what he was like. I'm just gonna front load everything.
I can't stand the people who like hold off from scoring. And I get there's probably some strategy there, but in an in-person tournament, there's so much variance, like which round you're going to finish and get through, that I'm always like, no, front load my scoring as much as possible.
Sometimes we have plans, okay?
Look, I was so annoyed because I had my Hidden Martyr Viscera in front of him the entire game, and he wouldn't kill it. He killed everything but
kill
that
my
one.
model!
And he didn't even know, he wasn't even thinking about Hidden Martyrs when he killed it. He was just like, I mean, this other one, like, let me just kill this one way over here, because why not? And it's like, but he's in front of you. Shoot him.
See, guys, that's how basic I am, is I don't even care about Hidden Martyrs. You could throw a model at me, and if I feel like killing it, I'm going to do it. And I'm not even thinking about it.
And that's most players. And that's what I was hoping for. And he was just like, I can kill him next round. It's fine. I'm gonna shoot these other models, and so grumpy about it.
And you can't say anything because you want them to kill it eventually,
right? And on turn 2, when he had the Rex on the Valedictorian, the Valley was down to 1 health. So it was literally if he wins that flip, Valley dies, and I lose the game right then and there. So we both cheated initiative. Reflipped, and then we both burned our cards again to try to get initiative because I had 2 13s in hand and he had a 13 and a 12.
Dang.
Yeah, and we just dumped everything we had into that one activation.
Those are those epic moments, though, where it's just
just
I need this,
out.
man. I need this.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good game.
Yeah, he was a great opponent.
Definitely sharp take.
He also played Cooper into me, and I played Schtook 2 into him as well, so he was like, man, I'm playing against this shit again.
Yeah,
man, what is this? The shit fucking tournament?
Right.
How's the game, man?
I won 8-2.
Yeah. Damn.
Well,
I guess we know who the better Schtook player is.
He like conceded like turn 3 because like turn 1 he ran Vernon and Wells up the right side of the board to go get one of the coverts, and then I'm just like, okay, I'm going to launch my Viscera over, and it's going to like stand here. And then he walked up. He was playing Cooper 1 instead of 2. Took 2 shots into me and did 2 damage, and I just regened it back. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to ambush and charge, and then I murdered Vernon and Wells turn 1.
Just
so
dead.
I also want to say is that you're welcome for that game because I mental fatigued him enough.
There you go. You drained him.
He gets to round 3, and goes, "Oh God,
I can't do
all over again."
Gaslighter.
Teamwork makes the dream wake, though.
Gaslight the fuck out of him. That's what you're doing right now. I'm gonna take the. He's like, credit. It's mine. Just give me the credit.
No. He has credit. I just helped. I provided assistance.
Sure.
I mean, you're all undead. I mean, you got to help out each other.
Please.
I guess
This is not communism.
Wow.
I just wish that Gen Con was a 5-round tournament instead of a 3-rounder.
Dude, I was so disappointed with that.
What?
I saw that and I was like, Dixon, this needed to be a 5-round.
Yeah, I mean, do it on Sunday. 2 rounds on Sunday is not a big deal. People don't have to show up. It's not a big
Yep.
So at the end of it, you had 3 people with 3-0, and then me with 2 wins and a tie.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it would have been really interesting to see how that would have played out with everyone smashing heads after that.
Yeah. I'm fairly sure that it used to be like that back in the day. I just can't remember.
Yeah, it 3 years ago, I think it was so 4 years ago, my first Gen Con, it was 2 3-rounder qualifiers. And you would qualify for the Tyrant tournament, and then the qualifiers would play on Saturday.
That's the name. I remember now. Yeah.
And the problem was that your entire Gen Con was 3 days of Malifaux, and there's so much more to do than play Malifaux there.
Yeah,
I can slightly appreciate that because I do like having some time to go do the con.
Right, but this is the thing. Like multiple times throughout the years, ever since V1, like 12 years ago or whatever, we've said please make it at Adepticon, or at the very least make it another tournament that's not Gen Con, because like
For
there's-
what?
for the worlds basically, because Gen Con has always been the Weird Games official Tyrant tournament.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I
but
consider Nova as like the main tournament personally. Oh, we just lost that.
Uh-oh.
He'll come back.
That's all right. We're still recording. We're almost
Yeah.
done.
I mean, that's why I consider Nova as the Worlds because
Now, yeah.
because of the Masters, right? You have to get
Right.
the Invitational to get into it.
Can we do a Worlds that isn't based around a con though? You know what I'm saying? Like, can we do like?
Look, man,
That's what
the
Vassal
Houston
is
GT
for.
is wide open. You guys can come down to Houston and play.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's a perfect hub, right? Like where it's like it's a good city. It's in a store. That's what we're doing. There's so much like monetary investment and stuff when you go to a con, and that's usually not the thing you want to just be doing. So I'm more of a proponent of like, cool, let's throw this in, a smaller con like Captain Con where it's just not as much of a pain to kind of get around, or let's do a custom GT at this city or that city. I'm more down for that.
Right, you don't have these crazy hotel costs. You don't have these crazy parking
Yeah, and
costs.
there's a crap ton of people too, man. Like the nerd funk is like strong.
Yes, it is. I mean, yeah, if people are open to it in 2023, I know Doug really would prefer to run it himself because he just loves to run tournaments and have people ooh and all over his tables. So
I mean, it's
yeah,
great
and
for
I
business.
just-
No.
it's not his. He does. People don't really buy stuff from him. He just likes people to look
I'm
at
just
stuff
not a
and look at
fan
it being pretty.
of going to like I said, I don't mind doing like small events at a con, but like a big like 5-round tournament, it's like that's taking up all your time.
Well, I mean, Nova's crazy because we're doing the Invitational on Thursday, Friday,
And then a 2-day.
and then a 2-day after that. So I'm playing 10 games of Malifaux in 4 days. I'm gonna be mentally burned by the end of Sunday.
Yep.
I'll probably go drinking on Sunday night.
Yep.
And I don't drink anymore.
I mean, it reminds me of like back in the day playing War Machine. War Machine was like that too, where you just like last chance qualifier into War Machine weekend into you just like bam, bam.
Hey, if you like that, come to Houston. We have a tournament every month.
Yeah.
Actually, we have 2 in Texas. We have one in Houston the second weekend of every month, and then I think they're trying to do one in Austin the 4th weekend of every month.
Isn't that like a
So-
4-hour drive?
It's like 3 hours.
See?
But when you carpool, it's not a big deal.
There you go. Dixon, you got anything before we roll up on out of here?
No, this was actually a really fun talk.
The only thing I will add is since Zach, I don't know, probably camera or something died, but basically check out the Breachburnt podcast. They've been putting out a decent amount of episodes. You can find it in all your podcatchers. They just another good. I always like it when you have a new meta kind of create a podcast because it gives you different perspectives, models they like. So always good to hear people just talking about Malifaux. So I definitely like that podcast.
Yeah.
And obviously listening to Zach talk, he knows a little bit about at least the Reser nonsense, so you'll get some of that on his podcast.
Sometimes.
And Dixon, I think weren't you on one of their episodes?
I believe so, yes.
He did like a State of the Neverborn.
Hey, did you cry the whole time?
Shit. I love the State of Neverborn right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Dixon, quick, who's the best Neverborn keyword master?
Right now, Faye, 100%.
I
Oh,
think so.
100%. Like, because of all the missions are
Yeah.
basically be in this spot and do something.
Even with all the Lucius talk that I hear people liking right now.
Lucius is, well, the thing is this, players are making certain keywords better than normal. Again, we talked
Fair.
about, like, we think that Tara 2 is, like, OP as hell, but in reality, what's winning? You look at the scoring.
Yeah.
Hell, Maxine 1 sucks balls, but Andre somehow made her work.
Dude, Andre is... So the thing about Maxine is Maxine requires a lot of mental gymnastics and a lot of mental work, and it requires a talented person who can go through that decision tree and make all the right decisions.
Correct.
Fair.
And Andre is perfectly suited for that. That's just
Yes.
that's what he does.
Yes.
But
That is exactly what a tier list is for. Which one is easier to win with? And
right,
Maxine's
Maxine's not top
is-
of the tier.
No. She's super
Andre's
hard
top
to
of
win
the
with. Exactly. See? And I keep seeing that lately. Like, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but
That's why you got to play what you
yeah,
love.
there's
Yep,
a lot
play
of
what you
design
love.
decisions that basically made it so that certain players are just doing better.
Yep. And then obviously plug in the Malifaux tournament in Houston, Texas
Yep.
in October. Second weekend. Come on down, have some fun. Beer, food. We have discount for a hotel nearby. Please buy your tickets as soon as possible, just so Doug can anticipate how many people are actually coming.
Prize support too.
And there is prize support. Yes, we got to figure
Yep.
all that out. So
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's on Doug's website.
Top Dog
It's called,
Design.
topdogdesign.com.
Top
Yeah,
Dog
Top
Design.
Dog Design, and it's Doug as in Doug, not Doug as in like, hey dog.
What?
But yeah, I mean, if you guys like this, I like just seeing everybody's face and kind of getting reactions. I mean, seeing Brian's face when Dixon was like, Maxine's trash, and Brian's like, not how I've been beaten by her. Anyways, with that being said, make sure that you guys are subscribe, so we can keep doing this stuff. We are going to do another giveaway once we hit 1,000, so that's always good. We give away a core box of your choice or a title box of your choice for a random subscriber, so definitely do that. And as always, make sure that you guys are flipping cards, flipping tables, and we will see you all next time. Welcome back, Rage Nation. Got myself Pete here.
That's not really exciting.
You got Senior Dixon,
Like, I don't think that's appropriate.
and you got Monsieur Leopard.
Explorers deserved it. No.
Absolutely.
I was disgusted. I cannot believe they've done this.
Why is wacky? Why is Darth Bird? It's just nonsense.
I disagree on that. That's not possible.
We're getting the band back together. We're on a mission. Yeah.
Now we've got a whole new list of things to complain about.